charges come after a dozen people were injured at a march calling for the release of Israeli hostages on Sunday. And late yesterday, a U.S. district judge in Colorado issued an order temporarily blocking the deportation of Solomon's wife and his 5 children.
Fox's Brooke Singman. Israel's military has gone into Gaza and recovered the bodies of 2 more hostages. Yudi Weinstein Haggai was born in the U.S., and her husband Gad. Both were killed in the Hamas terror attack in October 2023 that triggered Israel's war. Hamas still holds 56 hostages, but about a third of those are believed to be alive. Now to the war in Ukraine.
Just hours after a call between President Trump and Putin, another deadly drone strike by Russia. Ukrainian officials say 6 drones of the type made by Iran hit residential areas in the northern city of Priluki.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. 5 people were killed. President Trump says in their phone call, Putin said he plans to respond to Ukraine's attacks the other day, destroying a lot of Russian bombers. America's listening to Fox News.
Prescription products require completion of an online consultation with an independent healthcare provider and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for more details and safety information.
Is Cialis Daily really better than Viagra?
If you like spontaneity, the answer is yes. So when the mood strikes, you're ready to go.
I felt like a young man again. My wife is definitely much happier.
When you take it, you're ready to go.
Does Cialis Daily last longer than Viagra?
Guys are raving that the results last even longer.
My partner thinks that I am a rock star.
Because it is effective, I say I'm on a second honeymoon.
It's literally life-changing.
Does RexMD really work?
Over 85% of guys said not only does it work, they saw results the very first night. And you can get your first month free at freerexmd.com with medication delivered direct to your door. There's no copay, no doctor office visit, and your shipping is always free. Visit freerexmd.com to get your first month free. That's FREEREXMD.com.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Subaru of Gwinnett. You'll love the difference. The Morning Extra, only on Extra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. Friday Eve. Loving the fact that we're almost to the weekend. Tug and Los until 10. Jeray along with us, too. This is the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. So I don't know where you want to start this morning, Los, but there's a lot to get to. M&M's, Skittles, and Doritos could be labeled not recommended for human consumption in Texas.
What is it? The dyes, the colors? What are we dealing with?
Yes, I think so. And it just, I mean, come on. I love Doritos and I love M&M's.
I agree. I mean, Doritos were a staple of the youth, and then the only movie theater candy that I can say that I consistently would destroy outside of a Twizzler, peanut M&Ms. No matter what. You give me peanut M&Ms, and I was so happy.
So good, dude.
Don't forget, too, you can start a fire with Doritos.
That's right.
That's right. We did learn that, didn't we? Mm-hmm. It is the synthetic dyes, the bleach flour, and other additives that make it not recommended for human consumption.
What makes it so good?
Yeah, that's right. All that is what makes it delicious, for sure. No, I know that it's that. And then there's the other thing that I saw early this morning and didn't have a chance to explore it quite yet. But have you seen what's the dude that runs TMZ? Harry.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. The dude, the
guy who stands in the meetings.
Yeah.
That's all I know him. Know him as.
Right. He's saying they have evidence that there was a 5th plane on 9/11. That's what his video says. And
Harvey Levin.
Harvey Levin, thank you. Says they have evidence. TMZ has evidence there was a 5th plane on 9/11.
You know, say what you will about TMZ and all the celebrity stuff, but they typically don't put things out there unless they
got the
goods.
Maybe the most massive, at least sports story, was what happened with Tiger Woods, and they're the ones who broke that entire story before anybody else had it.
Yeah, that's right. And so, government cover-up is what he is saying in this video. They said they've released the footage of the 5th plane, and that's... So I assume at TMZ.com, because I literally just saw the video of him saying it. So it's something I'm going to have to explore, and especially with my son taking this extreme interest in 9/11 lately. You know, he listened to those 2 documentaries going to North Carolina.
So glad he's getting into some of these things.
Yeah, dude, me too.
Question everything, young man.
Absolutely. And that's what I told him. I was like,
well, but the whole 9/11 scenario, I mean, a lot of it's been debunked, but there are some things that you want to bring up, whether it's, building number 7, people bring that up on a regular basis. But I thought we'd well establish that it's 4 planes. Well, suddenly it's a 5th plane?
3,
like, what are they alleging happened with a 5th plane?
I don't know. I've only seen the video. I'm actually on TMC's website right now trying to figure out where it is.
Well, stop the show right now and just go, look into it.
I'm telling you, man. it just popped up right before we got on there. I was like, what is this? I've never seen anything quite like this before. But it's definitely something that I'm going to explore today, dig into, and see if we can't get to the bottom of. See if TMC has something that maybe we've never seen before, because that's the way it's being presented. But anyway, just thought there's a couple things that stood out to me as I was reading this morning, right before the show started.
603 conspiracy theories. Exactly right. Let's also work in a 5th plane.
Good morning. I don't know why we wouldn't. And I saw this at the end of the show yesterday and didn't get a chance to get to it. The folks who created Back to the Future are looking for Marty McFly's Back to the Future guitar. It's that cherry red Gibson ES 345. He used to play Johnny B. Good in the movie Back to the Future. Apparently, since 1985, since they filmed that movie, they cannot find the guitar. Somebody absconded with the guitar, and now they're on a mission to find it. And they've created videos. You got Michael J. Fox in a bunch of them. Everybody's saying, "Hey, help us find this guitar." And it reminds me of the Layla guitar. I don't know if you know the story of the Layla guitar.
No. What's the word there? So
Dwayne Allman, who played the riff Layla that's legendary, that everybody knows his own. His guitar was sold, given away, however it ended up, but they had to search for it for years, and they found it about 5 years ago in a Daytona Beach pawn shop, and now it's back on display at the big house down in Macon, Georgia, at the Allman Brothers Museum. But it was the same kind of thing. You're like, how do these legendary guitars just come up missing? And especially with one that was such an important scene in the Back to the Future movies.
Well, I can trust that a guitar from a movie would happen before some of the other crazy things. I mean, again, like there's level of conspiracy theory. Like when somebody tries to talk about moon landing, I'm like, okay, this is the highest level of crazy. If you're telling me that you have Michael J. Fox's guitar from a movie, okay, so conspiracy theory. It's more of, all right, sometimes things get lost in the shuffle, and this is what occurs, and then that is totally fine to me.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's as much a conspiracy theory, but just surprising when stuff like that comes up missing.
Yeah, like it got. If you have a particular item that is like huge in musical history and it gets found in a pawn shop, like that, I totally believe, because you just never know where certain things end up. And this always goes back to something that is being purchased or something that they want to authenticate because they want to send it to auction for millions of dollars.
Probably so, or maybe even put it in a museum, I suppose. But most likely it's for millions of dollars. It certainly seems that way.
I mean, if you want to talk about movie history, the argument can be made that Back to the Future is the perfect movie. Okay. How it's shot, how it looks, the whole idea of there's no weird loose ends to it, there's no weird threads. It's a perfectly made movie. And so if the iconic moment where here's Michael J. Fox and the parents end up getting together, and here's him with a guitar playing Johnny B. Good, for Chuck Berry on the phone listening to what's going on. A fun moment. Yeah, you tell me that guitar is probably worth $1 million.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, this video is about 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Everybody from the movie is asking and talking about this guitar and the fact that they've lost it and they can't figure out where it is, but they want to locate it. They want to track it down.
Just a quick search through some of these threads on this TMZ video. Apparently, talking about a 5th plane that never made it off the ground for some reason.
Got it.
Suspicious characters on there.
So it's not as they present it as if this is y'all missed this whole thing. There's this airplane that goes haywire, and okay, well, good. I'm glad you nailed it down for us, Jerry.
Investigation.
That's what we do.
That's what Jerry does. Jerry's like, let me look into this and investigate, and I will get to the bottom of it. But
I'm doing dangerous things over here. I'm doing my own research.
That's right. You're not allowed to do that. That is not used. He's got to trust the science and trust whatever he's told. But but guys, wouldn't you think that if that was the case, I mean, whoever was on that plane would have already been prosecuted as highly as possible? I mean, that's kind of what we were doing during that time period.
Yeah, because we're tracking folks down. No doubt about it. I mean, we had a global war on terror. Surely they would have started, here in the United States, nailing that down. I do look forward to seeing the details of it, though, Jerry. I'm glad you stumbled upon it. Good news for the United States when it comes to the economic side of life, and the fact that we're thinking we're about to get an economic boom that nobody saw coming, except maybe Donald Trump, who planned it.
Well, and that's the plan, and what we've looked into is we look at all the economic indicators, and everything is going correctly. Everything looks like it's going to be really solid. And then we start saying, okay, so when is the Fed, which is basically from the days of Ben Bernanke and what basically was established under George Bush, it is basically an independent arm of the federal government. You have a scenario now where it's when are the interest rates going to be moved? Because remember, if the goal is 2% or less when it comes to inflationary environments where you want to make sure things are under control, right now Trump's economy is sitting right around like 1.4 when it comes to the inflation. Just you brought up too, going through some of the numbers. Look what's happening with real wages. I think that if you're looking for that next explosion in the economy, it's probably going to have to be off of firing who's running the Fed as of right now and going a different direction.
And you have to believe that Donald Trump has already started the planning process of getting rid of the Fed chairman, because they've already said we're not moving. We're not moving anything. And you just have to think to yourself, well, is this political? You're supposed to be a non-political organization. Is there some TDS in there? Maybe that's it. But you have to start doing something. You can't just sit on your hands forever. You can't be like Congress, or maybe you can. But the issue that I keep having with them is that I want to see people able to buy a house again, people to use credit cards and not have 30% interest rates. Moving the interest rates has to be the next step. And anybody that's fighting it, when you see them fighting it, that's the thing that's irritating to me. You're like, whose side are you on? Like, who are you trying to help here?
Well, you have the scenario, and again, when the Atlanta Fed says we're looking at a 4.6% GDP growth, that's what they are prognosticating. All right, what if you happen to create an environment where borrowing money suddenly is cheaper in terms of the interest rate? Well, I think that 4.6 goes very easily to like a 4.8, 4.9. And so that's kind of the plan is let's see what happens when you unleash the American people to borrow and do their thing. But the Fed is not allowing it as of right now.
Yeah, it's complete BS. I expect Donald Trump is going to start speaking on this and start putting some pressure on the Fed. And I know I know they're independent, but there's no way that he's going to sit back and just let this take place.
It's one thing when you talk about egg prices or fuel prices or what's going on at the grocery store. Trying to make the explanation to the American people that the rate that is established by the Fed does have a everyday effect on them. I think that's where you're going to have some very plain language from Donald Trump if he's going to make that argument.
Yeah. So I want to see him do it. I expect that he will do it, and hopefully he will do it sooner rather than later. This is a story that Jure brought in that I'd seen. I'm sure you have too, Los. This kid that is in high school that just got a $20,000 check and was issued an apology from his high school and the Board of Education, and all because Jure, this kid basically said illegal immigrant.
Oh.
Yeah, he was just trying to make a joke in class, and they were, he raised his hand, asked the teacher, teacher, are we talking about illegal aliens from space?
I so remember this story about him being, getting basically reprimanded for using a term that has been used regularly in the federal government.
Yeah, his teacher probably has blue hair.
Yeah,
and she said, you can't say that because it's offensive to your classmates. And they suspended him, and he challenged it. They filed a lawsuit, and so he's got $20,000 and a formal apology. And it's not quite the Covington kids, because I don't know what they got paid from CNN, but that would probably had a couple more commas.
Yeah, no, that's the kid up in Washington, D.C., the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah, the one that the
dude was banging the drum in his face. Yeah, he got into the millions. I think he got into the millions.
Yeah, he did. He did. I actually looked back at that. He lost the lawsuits against like Rolling Stone and all the rest, but CNN had to cough up some.
Was it Nicholas Sandman?
Yes, that's it.
Sandman,
yep. Yeah, that kid got paid. But look, even more than the $20,000. Good for him getting the $20,000. I love the fact that they had to apologize.
Yes.
That's the thing. That's when you know that they were seething. Because with the money, it's not their money. It's the taxpayers' money. They don't care what happens to $20,000. It's never going to concern them. It's never going to affect them in any way. But the apology. Now that, on the other hand, because they have to do it themselves.
Can I read you the apology? Because it's a little half-handed. It says, while the board maintains that the disciplinary action imposed was appropriate due to class disruption caused by the comments, the board apologizes for the mischaracterization of racial bias arising from his comments. It's just
that's
it's
just
a corporate. Say you were wrong.
It's a corporate. Yeah,
you
but they
were
can't.
Wrong.
They can't. But the fact they had to issue it is enough for me. I don't care because had you not read it, no one else is reading it either. Everybody knows they had to issue an apology, and that's all.
On him. I mean, I got that thing framed on my wall next to my diploma.
Right. Yeah. Right there next to your $20,000 check.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you're smart, he's going to put it in some investment, or if you're a high school kid, you're going to go out and just blow the daylights on it, man.
You got you a good Mustang for $20,000.
Oh, I never would have been able to just be if you were to tell me, all right, you were given a $20,000 check in high school. The amount of crazy stuff I would have done with that, there'd been nothing left within like a few weeks.
No, that's exactly right. I had a new 4-wheeler, man. Yep. I'd have blown it all to pieces. Now, if his parents are smart, he'd just be like, hey, spend half of it, invest the other half. You know what I mean? Or something to that effect. What would you do? Like, if your kids, for whatever reason, doesn't have to be a story like this, Los, but if your daughters came into a $20,000 windfall, how do you direct them?
I mean, I would try and tell them, all right, you know what, take a little bit of that money, put it aside. That's shopping, that's car, that's whatever you want. The rest of it we're going to put away into savings. But I know what I would have done. I'd have been buying crazy sound system for the car.
Yeah. Dude, the baddest stereo you've ever seen.
I'd been buying the most high-end premium baseball bats. I'd buy 3 of them to be I only use this one on Tuesday and Thursday. I mean, I'd have done so many stupid things with it.
Yeah, that's why it's good to have parents to
guide. It's not quite llama with a saddle money, but
exactly.
It's close. Down payment.
Well, I mean, but your priorities change as you get older. You're like, you know what? I need something nobody else has. How about a llama with a saddle?
Dude, I think that's great. Just having a llama would be actually good enough. The fact that it's got this decorative saddle, that's next level there.
Telling you, the person I know who's trying to sell their llama, every now and then I'm like, is it saddle trained?
That's right.
Just put it out there to them, and they're like, you are the biggest idiot I know.
Can I ride this llama, or is it gonna buck me off? What's this?
You can ride anything once.
Yeah, or attempt to. Anyway, when we come back, the mainstream media folks like Chris Cuomo tries to rebrand themselves as trustworthy. Here's why you should not believe them. Next on Extra 106.3.
A America drives the world economy. And with ongoing global trade deals, tariffs doing their job, and inflation dropping, we've forced the world to step up. So don't let the mainstream media spin it to you any differently. Get the news that matters to you from Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Don't let this cool weather the next, about 10 days because of all the rain. Don't let that throw you off. The heat is going to take over, and when it does, you're going to have to get those AC units just cranking. I mean, they're going to be running almost nonstop for the entirety of the summer. Maybe even through the fall, too. It's not like it gets real cool up until about December here in Atlanta. So call Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Make sure that your HVAC systems operate the way they can at peak and maximum efficiency. Get a maintenance agreement with Central Heating and Air Conditioning, 770-GET-HEAT-CentralHeat.com. And when you do, $10 of each agreement goes directly to Skyland Trail, providing life-changing care for those who need it most. They use expert evidence-based treatment to help those facing mental health challenges find a path to recovery. Get a maintenance agreement today with Chuck and his team at Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Chuck is the greatest guy you'll ever meet, the kindest and the most helpful. He will make sure that everything happens the way it's supposed to. They've been serving Atlanta since 1947. 770-GET-HEAT-CentralHeat.com.
Hey, this is John Flading from ATL Turfco. We're a family-owned and operated independent local company here in the Atlanta area. We've been in business for over 15 years. We install several different types of artificial grass. One is landscape, which looks like real grass for your lawn. The next one is pet turf. Pet turf is a little bit shorter than landscape, and it's more durable. And the other one is putting greens. If you can dream it, we can build it. Just go to atlturfco.com to schedule an appointment.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. That is, until they meet the Warrior Alliance. The Warrior Alliance goes the extra mile to reach veterans in their communities so they do not have to take this journey alone. With over 40 partners across 10 service areas, your donation goes a long way toward achieving maximum impact for a veteran and their family. Go to thewarrioralliance.org to donate today and commit to helping the Warrior Alliance change thousands of lives for the better.
Advance and protect. What is that in retirement planning? Well, Coach Pete is here to explain advance and protect.
What's the advance and protect strategy? Well, it's a way for you to share and participate in the gains of the market. Not all the gains, by the way. You have to trade. The trade-off is you're not going to get all the gains, but here's what you're trading it off for. You're not getting any of the losses. Therefore, you really are advancing and protecting. Or if the market's down for 3 or 4 years, you're protecting and protecting and protecting. And when it decides to go back up, you're advancing. So if you're protected when down markets and going up in up markets, you really can't lose. And then you turn that lump sum you have into a lifetime income you can never outlive, and now you're in control of your life all the way through.
A comprehensive review with Coach Pete's local trusted advisor, Craig Chandler, can show you how to get in control of your retirement. 800-419-6164. 800-419-6164. Craig Chandler, Chandler Wealth Management, 800-419-6164.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
A postal worker from Michigan whose kindness and honesty makes today's Dean's List. Josh O'Hara has worked for the U.S. Postal Service for nearly a decade. He was on his regular mail route when he spotted some cash on a driveway. Josh picked it up and knew right away someone had probably lost it while they were getting into their car. So he rang the doorbell to see if anyone was home to return the cash, but when no one answered, he wrote a note and attached it to the money to make sure they wouldn't miss it amongst the mail. Sarah Haydock was the one that found the note and the missing money and says it made her day to know someone went out of their way to do something so nice. She told all of her neighbors and the story was picked up on social media. Sarah says even though it was just $10, the act of kindness means so much more. Josh says if you can make someone smile or help someone in any way, even to be a support for them, you must do it. Sarah says she's so inspired by Josh and plans to pay it forward from now on. Janice Dean, Fox News.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Thursday, June 5th. The Cobb Planning Commission approved a proposal for a $100 million apartment development on Cobb Parkway just south of Cumberland Mall. The Homewood Suites Hotel by Hilton will be torn down to make way for the development. Homeland Security raided a Marietta nail salon earlier this week. Immigration agents arrested 12 illegal aliens working at Lux Nail Salon on Chastain Meadows Parkway. The agency says the business owners will face consequences, but no official charges yet. And the Georgia Forestry Commission is warning Georgia landowners about a surge in southern pine beetles. They say early monitoring has indicated an especially high level of beetle activity this year. An infestation of the bugs can cause serious damage and destroy trees quickly. Today's weather partly cloudy with the possibility of isolated storms. Temperatures will reach the mid-80s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Xtra. There's a great comedian named Tim Dillon. We were just talking to Ray about how funny this guy is. And he was talking to Chris Cuomo, who I think is just low down, just low as a snake's belly. He's that kind of dude, and he presents himself as, reformed, I think. Or at least that's the way I see him, Los, is a guy that he's trying to pretend that none of the stuff in the past, his past reporting, he's like Jake Tapper a little bit.
His CNN life doesn't exist.
Just nothing there, nothing to see. And so he was talking with comedian Tim Dillon, and the conversation, I think went the way it's supposed to. I'm not sure Chris Cuomo would agree with that. But, dude, he is mainstream media. Never trust or listen. And Tim Dillon calls him out perfectly for doing exactly what I'm telling you. Because he tries to pretend that, Hunter Biden, he was just a drug addict. That was it. There's nothing else really to see. Listen to this.
Look at what happened with Trump, okay? You can write 3 books on how what happened to him with Russia Gate or whatever you want to call it was wrong. What was the first thing he did when he got in power? He went after Biden for being a Ukrainian-Russian plant. The first thing he did was go after Biden and his son, weaponizing a guy's addiction. I don't know how much you know about that world, but unfortunately...
I was an addict for many years, from when I started doing cocaine at 12 and I stopped at 25, and I never ended up in the Ukraine, and I never took a photo of everything I did and put it on a laptop,
but you know
and then
very
dropped it
well,
off at Circuit City.
But you know very well that Hunter Biden is a typical drug-addled person.
I'm not saying that he didn't do business drug-addled people. Very few of them ended up in the Ukraine, and I mean, their dads are the vice president.
It's not about why he wasn't in the Ukraine.
It's a unique life. Let's say that. It's a unique life.
You would have to look at.
None of my drug addict friends ended up in Malibu selling art for $80,000.
What a great gig. I love the fact that he pushes back, because that's all I'm asking for people, to be able to push back. Now, Chris Cuomo's got no defense. He knows all this is true, and it just takes a comedian to present it in a funny position to be able to push back the way we want to.
Well, the area that he didn't expect is he was starting to build the narrative. Well, I mean, as a drug addict. And immediately Dylan's like, I know a lot about that. Oh, by the way, this never happened to me.
Yeah, he rejects the premise, which is what you always talk about.
I didn't drop off the laptop at Circuit City.
When's the last time you heard Circuit City reference?
Which hasn't been open for like 20 years, but it's a great reference.
That's so good. But that's the thing. Hey, and none of us, because we've all known people that have dealt with drug issues. I mean, serious drug issues. It's almost like cancer. Everybody knows somebody that's dealt with it. Same way with mental health, same way with drugs. And for him to be like, well, he went on the attack about Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden sold out his country on behalf of his family to make a buku bucks, to make millions of dollars. And the only reason people were paying $80,000 or $100,000 or $500,000 for Hunter's artwork is because he had access to the office of the White House. That's why. Not because he was a drug addict, not because he was a talented guy. It was because he had access. And that's all Tim Dillon's pointing out.
10% for the big guy.
Well, he was a crook. Yeah. Is all it really comes down to. And if you want to debate whether or not he was an actual crook or he was an actual person that had committed crimes, why'd he require a pardon that goes back for a decade?
Exactly right.
Isn't that really strange? All the Bidens did was in a more sloppy fashion. The Clintons were doing this with the Clinton Foundation, their Clinton Family Foundation, where they were giving speeches for $500,000, $300,000. It was so you could buy influence from the White House because you believed that's where Hillary was going to end up. She would have the connections. You're buying influence. Once she didn't win in 2016, it's amazing how those donations dried up. And the same thing has happened with the Bidens. Nobody's calling Hunter Biden to have him run some oil and gas company in another foreign country.
That he didn't have any experience doing.
It's not happening.
In Ukraine. It's exactly right. And then on top of that, with the Clinton Foundation, it closed. It got so little. They closed it. They shuttered the entire thing.
They couldn't steal any more money or bilk it out of people in the interest of power. Once that happened, it was, well, time to close up shop.
And then I want to play one more cut from Tim Dillon because it's good. And he rips the media for not taking any accountability because of what they did with promoting Russiagate. And he basically points out they never even apologized. They never got a sorry, nothing.
So the Trump Russiagate thing, to me, the amount of damage done to the country's psyche and the fact that it's never grouped in with any conspiratorial thinking and that it is never mentioned alongside other types of conspiracies, the fact that it was dropped by the media. They never bring it up anymore. They never even mention it.
But we do that with everything.
Well, for sure, but this was calling the president of the United States an asset of a foreign power and that he had possibly been recruited in the 80s. Like, these articles were so salacious and conspiratorial. And then the publishing of this dossier, and then Jane Mayer, who I respect, and I think it is a good journalist at The New Yorker, writing these things about these fantasy tapes and the urine and all this stuff. And then late night hosts are doing jokes about it, and everybody, it's seeping into the culture, but it's never called a conspiracy. It's never been, I don't think there's a ton of reflection in the media on it. You know more than I do about that. But I feel like there's never been a mea culpa. There's never been an I'm sorry. There's never been a we got this wrong. There's only been, hey, we didn't have the goods on it, but we kind of somewhat still believe it.
That's the thing. He's exactly right. They still talk about it. Almost like the way they talk about the 34 felonies, Los.
Yeah.
All of those are gone.
Like, it's kind of real, but it's not real.
All of them are gone. None of them are real. They're all washed up lies. And
everything is gone.
And they still talk about it, but that's not changed the way they talk about it. They still call him a felon, even though he's not. Even though all the charges have been overturned, everything's been dropped because it was all bull crap from the beginning. He's so right. They still believe it.
Well, I mean, George Stephanopoulos can tell you. Why don't you try calling him a rapist?
Yeah, right. And then take out the checkbook.
See how that ends up writing the checkbook.
That's
right. Like, have fun with that one. Until the media is never getting out of this, and they're never coming back from it. And this is how it's going to be. We've had now a permanent rise in what's referred to as the alternate media, but it's now the legitimate media. There is more connection. There is more access when it comes to listening to these independent podcasts, these things that are not attached to any of these big corporations and what they're doing. That's how people are now getting their information. It's the only people that are still going to the old school media is the boomers, and they are not going to be around for another 50 years. That's just kind of the nature of aging. I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of them on 130 years old Social Security.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
At least not in Trump's America.
Their name will be attached.
Not Doge's America.
Yeah, their name will be attached to it, but it won't. Like now, it'll be discovered and taken out the way it's supposed to. But you're right about the boomer thing. I assume that there's boomers that listen to this show. And you can call me if I'm wrong.
Because they're here for the real stuff.
Well, but that's exactly right. Because they've gotten the message, but my Aunt Peg hasn't. There's plenty of boomers out there that get their information from mainstream outlets that would never criticize any pharmaceutical. They don't do stories on pharmaceuticals because the pharma industry greases their palms with millions of dollars in commercials and ads. That's what keeps them afloat. That's why MSNBC can pay Rachel Maddow unbelievable money. She takes a $5 million cut, and she's still at $20 million a year. And I don't even know if she does. What does she do, like 1 or 2 shows a week?
One a week, yeah.
It's unbelievable. Why can they do that with no ratings? Because they don't criticize the people that grease their hands.
That's right.
And that's where the boomers still get their information. My Aunt Peg, every time I walk in her house, guess what's on?
It's on MSNBC.
It's on.
She's just sitting there with her Morning Joe.
Dude, taking notes, I'm sure. You know?
I haven't gotten my Morning Joe this morning because I'm in the home studio. I haven't turned on the TV. Am I missing some greatness from Morning Joe?
I'm sure you are. Yes, I'm almost positive you are. I mean, the quality content that they put out every day has given them such a rating spike. Yes, that's quality. Everybody's watching.
I'm telling you, you better turn up this. He's the best Biden ever.
Jen Psaki. Jen Psaki in January, they move her to prime time. Give her 2 hours. Not just one, but 2.
She murders the ratings by 60%.
Dude, the ratings, I read yesterday, the ratings aren't even showing up. They have a 0 rating.
It's impossible.
0. And on a platform that is well known, everybody knows what MSNBC is. Even if you don't watch it, you know what it is. They have a 0.
They need to just scrap that thing. What'll happen
That's
is
what they're planning.
It'll be me at 8 o'clock and just reruns of Shark Tank. And you'll do great.
Yeah. Or they just shutter it all together. Just turn the lights off.
It's been done before to other networks.
Absolutely it has.
And Cops back on.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
exactly.
Cops and Shark Tank.
They can't do Cops. Fox Nation has Cops.
Oh,
dang it.
That's back on?
Yeah, well, they're doing
Cops
new
came back.
episodes. Yeah. They're doing new episodes.
Cops.
Yeah, sure. But that's the thing. They can't. So I expect they'll just flip off the lights.
I'm going to do Cops and Paw Patrol and reruns of Shark Tank.
Yeah, right.
And Night Court. The old one.
That would get better than a 0 rating. It would. It would get better than a 0. Jen Psaki has a 0 rating. And they're paying this woman for her content, for their content, quote unquote.
Telling you, man, this entire scenario that has played out, by the time we hit the end of June 27th, when we had that debate, that was the end of the media. Like I'm telling, that's the date. The mainstream media died that night. And it's not coming back. And it's never going to be what it was before. Like the newspaper industry, it used to be, man, if you could just work for a newspaper, like that was huge. Okay, the newspaper industry is largely dead. You know, it's just gone away. All the talent has moved on to other platforms. You're going to have the same thing with certain mainstream media. It's just what it's going to be. It's why we make we do a radio show. At the same time, you can download anything you want from any of our shows off of our podcast platform. And why do we make it that way? Because that's what things are now.
Yeah, right. That's exactly why is there an app? So because people listen on apps. We just open the door and go where people are.
Yep.
But the bigger issue though, and you've always brought this up, is that MSNBC doesn't have content to share. We have content that people at least want to consume.
So this is for the audience out there. And some of this is really inside baseball, but I'm just going to explain. We have a sister station. We have about 1/50th of their signal power. Okay? We are tiny compared to our station down the hall. We do monster numbers because of content, which totally freaks everybody out. And what I've said this for the longest time. We have a competitor in the market. They have a massive signal. We do really well against them. And it's because people are not beholden to signal any longer. They will go to their phone and they can be anywhere in the world and getting content within 5 seconds. And that's now what it is. If you don't do content, if you don't have content that interests the audience, they will move on to the next thing. That's exactly what's happened to MSNBC. The content, the people were lied to, and the content isn't good.
Why do we get calls from Milton, which we barely come in? I live in Alpharetta, just across from Milton, where Charlie called in earlier. Once you get off Georgia 400, it is hard to pick up 106.3, 1230. It is hard. During the day, 1230, a little better, but it's staticky.
But we reach Canada.
But we get to. But that's what I'm saying. We reach Jeff in Milton, who's not. He's probably not driving on Georgia 400 right now. Once you get off 400, hard to get. We get Canada. We have people calling in. The lady that calls down Alabama, from Mobile, Alabama.
From Florida, yes. It's because it's that easy to get. But again, content's king. If your content is quality, people will come and find you. And that's what MSNBC is running into. They've been so busy thinking, well, we'll have Jen Psaki do it. Well, Jen Psaki is not challenging you intellectually, and she's certainly not giving you information that suddenly makes you I'm now more informed because I spent this hour listening to Jen Psaki.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Xtra. Yeah, and who's spending a whole lot of time with Jen? Well, nobody, clearly. The ratings would tell you nobody, but why would you? What what would it do for you? What would the entertainment value be? What would the information value be? Not a whole lot. 6 o'clock hours brought to you by Subaru of Gwinnett. When we come back, the young rising star in the conservative movement has caught a lot of eyes. Next on Extra 106.3.
Back by popular demand, D. Geller & Son Jewelers Watches and Whiskey event is next weekend, June 13th through 15th at D. Geller & Son Jewelers. This is Jonathan Geller at D. Geller & Son, where we're celebrating summer and Father's Day by bringing in an incredible variety of new and pre-owned luxury Swiss timepieces. Fan favorites like Tissot and Omega, showstoppers like Rolex and Breitling. You can walk out the door with something you might have to wait years on a list for otherwise. D. Geller & Son has been Atlanta's source for quality and value since 1939. And with over 85 years in Atlanta, you can trust what you're getting from D. Geller & Son. And while you're browsing, enjoy complimentary whiskey tastings thanks to Old Fourth Distillery, and get a free whiskey gift set with your purchase. Guys, watches and whiskey. How much better could a Father's Day weekend be? It's this weekend, June 13th through 15th at D. Geller & Son Jewelers in Kennesaw, Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
Gentlemen, listen up. When it's not hard, it's really hard. Did you know that 50% of men over 50 have some form of ED? It's true, and I'm one of them. ED followed me everywhere. Heck, even my initials are ED. I'm Dr. Eric Deal from Total Body Therapy of Georgia, and I know ED. It can lead to feelings of embarrassment, stress, and sadness. But there's good news. I can fix it. I fixed mine, and I can fix yours too. At Total Body Therapy of Georgia, we are experts in the P-shot, testosterone replacement, regenerative therapy, trimix to create an erection, and more. Guys, ED won't get better on its own, but I can help you today. Call us at 404-777-1911. That's 404-777-1911, or learn about us more online at tbtofga.com. So take it from me, ED, Dr. Eric Deal at Total Body Therapy of Georgia. Call 404-777-1911 or online at tbtofga.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Got a to-do list a mile long? No problem. We've got the ultimate solution, our Handyman for a Day program. Here's how it works. You get a skilled handyman dedicated to knocking out your honey-do list. Paint touch-ups, drywall repairs, door adjustments, and much more, all done in one day. You want to jump into spring and not worry about your home? Call us now before the rush for your Handyman for a Day, and call us at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. One call, one handyman, one day. The Trusted Toolbox.
Former CIA officer Jason Hansen here. In my line of work, I've seen firsthand how fast the world can change. With rising geopolitical tensions and inflation eating your buying power, it's time to take action. For me, that means gold. And for gold, I exclusively trust Advantage Gold. I urge you to do the same. Call them now at 800-900-8000 for a free gold guide to discover the security that comes with owning precious metals. Again, call 800-900-8000 today.
Paid for by Advantage Gold. Performance may vary. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Always consult your financial and tax professional.
Military Matters.
About 500 U.S. troops have withdrawn from Syria in recent weeks, leaving 1,500 troops in Syria now. That number is expected to drop to several hundred troops by the end of the year. But citing success in the fight against ISIS and a changing political climate in Damascus, the Pentagon is now sending troops home. 3 out of 8 U.S. bases in Syria have now been either shut down or turned over to the Syrian Democratic Forces, the Kurdish forces that the U.S. relies upon to contain ISIS. Thomas Barak, the U.S. Special Envoy to Syria, announced on Monday that the U.S. will only remain at one military base following this withdrawal. He met with Syria's interim leader, President al-Shara, the former leader of a rebel group once affiliated with al-Qaeda. Despite his past, al-Shara is receiving a warm welcome from the Trump administration as they begin easing sanctions on a post-Assad Syria in hopes to stabilize the country. But as the U.S. troops come home, tens of thousands of ISIS refugees remain in Syria, many of them with ties to ISIS. For Military Matters at the Pentagon, Liz Frieden, Fox News.
This is House Call for Health. As conditions outside get hotter, swarms of mosquitoes are set to put a damper on some people's fun in the sun. And while insect experts say there are certain factors that can make you a prime target, There are also strategies you can use to keep yourself from becoming a bug buffet. Eric Benson is an insect specialist with Clemson University. He says one mistake many people make is thinking you only need protection if you're going deep into the woods. He says if you're walking the dog a few times a day or even just outside gardening, treat it like you're walking the Appalachian Trail. Mosquitoes are attracted to the smell of people's body odor. Repellents help mask our scent. You can also wear long-sleeve shirts and pants to minimize exposed skin. There have been studies suggesting that insects prefer people with type O blood, but some researchers say that is debatable. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Atlanta Legends are only on Extra 106.3 with the one and only Kimmer on your ride home every afternoon.
And finally, pickup lines posted on Instagram. Yeah. Japan's greatest tragedy is having the world's best toilets and no Mexican food. What's the point of owning a Ferrari if you never take it to the track?
Oh, God. Yeah.
It's the Kimmer Show on Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Download the app if you want to listen anytime, anywhere. This is a easy place to find content. You can find us on the Extra 106.3 app. You can find us at extra1063.com. And obviously 106.3 FM, 1230 AM. And the only thing we ever ask in return is that you give the people that advertise on the station the first opportunity to earn your business. If you don't need a roof, you don't need a roof. But when you do, call Southern Exteriors. You know, it's one of those situations. Just give them the first chance to earn your business. That's all we ask. So the resistance is failing. I think most people realize that. You can look at the numbers that the Democrats are putting up, and you realize immediately that the resistance is falling short. The leftists say the most horrible and vile things about Donald Trump. But the good thing is, no one's listening. When you're a party of 20%, it's not surprising no one wants to hear what you have to say. The polling numbers continue to favor the America First agenda. And, I mean, there's articles out, and people are discussing how the America First agenda, or MAGA, is being exported. Now, I think there's some truth to that, but I think the bigger story is that people are fed up with leftists. They're fed up with their country being infiltrated by people that hate them and hate their way of life, whether invited or elected, because it comes in both forms. But I imagine being the side that doesn't pull for your own country. I mean, it's like saying, I'm a Braves fan, but I sure hope they don't win the World Series because that other team, they need it more than we do.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way it sounds to me, Jerry. That's the way it's put.
The Diamondbacks haven't won in so many years.
That's right. Let's give them a shot. I'm glad we lost the series. You know, I'm glad. It's good that we won last night. I'm glad we lost the series or whatever. None of that adds up. And when it comes to your hometown, who's going to be like, hey, let's take care of, I live in Alpharetta. Hey, let's make sure we take care of Roswell. Well, what about taking care of Alpharetta?
Yeah.
Or if you live in Canton, hey, let's take care of Woodside. Well, what about Canton?
Right.
I mean, none of that makes sense. But leftists would have you believe, yes, we need to take care of people elsewhere in other countries. America first. That's a horrible idea. Like, you can't say that America's better than any other country. You can't say that.
Yeah, we got to put Sesame Street on in Iraq.
Right. Well, how about let's take care of America first? And I think that's what most people are settling on, and you're seeing it happen across the world, not just in the United States. And here's the other thing.
Yeah.
You know, you have people that are, like Hillary Clinton. She said over the Memorial Day, if you remember over Memorial Day, she said, hey, maybe you should talk to your friends, about how bad Donald Trump is and how bad things are. Make sure you talk to everyone that you get a chance to talk to.
Make sure you don't get invited to next year's barbecue.
That's exactly right.
How do you get rid of all of your friends and neighbors? This is how you do it.
With the snap of a finger. Oh. That's how you do it. But dude, that's just something that was just sitting on my mind. That's just something that had been bothering me. We got 4th of July coming up. And you had the lady that was raising Cain, Los, about Target having a USA section. And
right.
she said she was triggered by the USA section. Why? What is it about America that you hate so badly? And it's all, and I know it comes down, and you've brought it up many times, it all comes down to these people that, they believe America was founded on the backs of someone else. As if every other country around the world is just perfectly built and perfectly founded.
Well, granted, I was a little bit weirded out when we had the story about, okay, here's what's going on where they're having displays for this time of the year. It was the June display for Pride Month, and that was available to your children. And here was all the gear that was headed, their way. It was optional for them to be able to buy it if you were into Target. And a lot of us said, that's a conversation for me and my child, and I don't know why this is being marketed. That was the discussion point. To then have American flag material and to have that be the thing that sets you off. I mean, these don't equate to one another. A discussion between sexuality with your children or a representation of the American flag.
Yeah.
These aren't on the same plane.
They just have nothing to do with one another. And one should be handled in the home. The other should be displayed in front of the home. That's how I see it.
Or perhaps on a bathing suit.
Or on a bathing suit.
Or, yes.
Yeah, and I would like to see Natalie Winters maybe in that display.
God bless America.
You know what I mean? She is a rising star in the conservative movement, and she definitely has caught a lot of eyes, Los.
I'll tell you, there's an article that she appears in that came out yesterday, and reading through quite a bit of it, it basically takes you through like a day in the life of Natalie Winters when it comes to like what life is like for, and you can find this over at thetimes.com. What it's like for the young MAGA crowd in Washington, D.C. And first off, when you go through it, living in D.C. sounds a little bit insane, okay? Like, a lot of it is like...
Angela says
it all the time, yeah.
Yeah, she talks about the young people that are there. She's like, this is what it is. It's a bunch of staffers, and here's how it is. One of the parts that I did enjoy that she brings up is the young people that are looking to get married and start a family and everything else, and they point out... just so you know, most of D.C. when it comes to men that are working in Washington, she's like, they're mostly gay.
Yeah, that's right.
And it just, kind of points out, like, how did we end up with an administration the last time around with Joe Biden where they were so concerned with these issues? Surprise, surprise, it's because most of them are gay. But it's also kind of like a caricature at a certain point where she talks about, like, well, I'm just looking to own the libs, and I'm trying to do that. I don't know. There was a part of me that goes, let's all be a little bit more dynamic than just so married to so much of this politics.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to see good things happen for the country. I don't want to own anybody. I don't want to. I'm not looking to throw the Trump card, a pun not intended. Throw a Trump card on somebody just to get them to shut up. Like, I don't care about any of that. I couldn't care less about any of it. What I do care about is an environment where I can be successful and I can raise a family like I did, and that my son will eventually be in that same situation, so he'll be able to live the American dream. So your daughters will be able to live the American dream. I don't want to be a caricature. I just want to see America done right, finally. And I finally feel like we have a president that's going to try to do that.
And I will tell you, reading this article, I know that they were trying to paint Natalie Winters with this particular brush and make her look a certain way.
Yeah.
What I will tell you is this. They didn't need the article. She does it on her own.
Yeah.
Like reading through some of her comments, I was like, all right,
it is like, a bit of an eye roll.
Can you ever, like, we always joke around about it. When we're done with the show, the helmet, at least for me, I take it off, I put it aside, and I'm like, hey, I'll see you again at 6 a.m. I don't take it with me to, obviously the gym or over around my friends or even yesterday doing sports talk. I think I made one political joke, and that was it. So, I got one in. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But, I started thinking, how tiring is it that you take this to, like, every bar or whatever you go to?
Yeah, I have no desire. But don't you think it's because she's 24?
Yes.
It's just immaturity there.
Perspective.
Yeah, and perspective, or lack of perspective, maybe. Or lack of life experience, some of those things. And maybe when she's 45, it'll be very different. Now, I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm hoping that that's the case. It's just youth. And a lot of times people who become instantly famous don't handle it all that well. People that are in Hollywood, people who are in rock bands, they blow up and everybody knows who they are and there's more money than they know what to do with. And then all of a sudden they're not living the life that maybe they would if they weren't in that situation.
No, I agree with you. I think a lot of it's just as you're pointing out, it's perspective. And maybe 20 years down the line, suddenly you become that that person who's actually really is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
As of now.
Yeah.
She's passionate.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Which I appreciate. I'm not pooping on her passion. I'm not pooping on her at all. I just
well, I hope
on her
not.
passion is just a turn of phrase.
Yeah, right. But I guess I'm not trying to put her down. I'm just trying to understand where it is she's coming from. And when sometimes when it's much younger than you struggle with that.
Well, I did enjoy when she did talk about the difference in women in that town, and she talked about how hey. Some of those are looking for husbands. Some of them are looking for just to goof around and have some fun. And it really fed into when we've met staffers and said, like, okay, let's kind of see who's the staffer for this congressperson. Or when Angela told us, hey, here's what it was like when I was there. And it turns into like this surreal cartoon land where you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are very, very fake.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I would imagine, like Hollywood, because you get to see it on display all the time, how fake they are. DC, they have to convince you that they're in your favor, that they're doing something for you while not being that way at all. Completely fake. It's unbelievable. All right, when we come back, Chuck Schumer's new message is you're going to die. Everybody is. Next on Extra 106.3.
Georgia is teaming up with Dunkin' Donuts for Cops on Donut Shops on June 6th from 6 to 10 a.m. Join us for the torch run and then some treats with our heroes on the streets. Together, we'll help raise money and awareness for Special Olympics Georgia athletes. Drive through and donate at participating Dunkin' Donuts June 6th or at SpecialOlympicsGA.org.
You protect your physical health by choosing your doctors carefully. Protect your financial health by choosing an attorney carefully. An accident can be very costly. You want to receive the compensation you deserve. Call Van Sant Law. My friend David Van Sant will take care of you, trust me, very well. The number is 855-GA-INJURY. The website is vansantlaw.com. In the event of an accident, it could be the most important phone call you make.
An investment in your home is something that will pay off in the future, but it's something that you can enjoy right now. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. A beautiful new garage door, entry doors, and windows are an investment you can love every day, and they will increase your home's value, energy efficiency, and curb appeal. All Four Seasons, trusted in Atlanta for over 25 years, exceptional customer service, and high-quality work. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 seasonsgarages.com.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Cowart for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guest is Major Stephen Gaynor from the Criminal Investigation Division of the Cobb Sheriff's Office. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
There's a tidal wave of clean car happiness sweeping across Braves country. Tidal Wave Auto Spa is your go-to car wash destination for a game day ready ride. Experience Major League Clean at Tidal Wave, the official car wash of the Atlanta Braves. Stay clean car happy all season long with membership discounts, exclusive giveaways, and more. Visit TidalWaveAutoSpa.com/Braves for details.
My car is happy. I am happy. Tidal Wave Auto Spa.
Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
Your favorite Extra shows are streaming live video from the studio on Extra 106.3's YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Extra YouTube channel and get the Morning Extra and the Kimmer Show in live digital video. WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
He's done it again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump issuing another travel ban with a bigger list of countries than the one from his first term.
Nothing will stop us from keeping America safe.
The White House says those countries are high risk for terrorism, visa abuse, and failure to share security information. So nationals from 12 countries, including Afghanistan, Iran, Somalia, Libya, and Yemen, are banned from coming to the U.S. Individuals from 7 more countries, including Venezuela and Cuba, will all face partial restrictions.
That's Fox's Brooks Sigmund. Many House Democrats have reacted, some calling the ban cruel or racist, discriminatory, and un-American. As President Trump also ramps up illegal immigration raids and deportations, the administration has brought back a Guatemalan man that had been removed after a federal judge ruled he must be returned because his legal rights were violated, not challenging the removal. Now, Fox's Jill Nato on another ruling from another judge.
U.S. District Court Judge James Boasberg says the 137 migrants who were sent to the terrorism confinement center in El Salvador never had a chance to contest their deportations. So he's ordered the Trump administration to work towards allowing them to do that.
Now, the administration's been fighting their return. The president invoked a rare 18th century Alien Enemies Act to deport the alleged gang members. Yet another federal judge has blocked the deportation of Mohammed Solomon's wife and 5 children. He's the suspect in the Boulder, Colorado terror attack. Will appear in court again today, this time to face state charges, including attempted murder.
Hate, anti-Semitism, terrorism, and violence have no place in Colorado and no place in the United States of America.
Governor Jared Polis at a gathering in Boulder. 15 people were injured when their demonstration supporting the hostages in Gaza was firebombed. Israel has recovered the bodies of 2 more hostages in an operation in Gaza. Both have dual Israeli-American citizenship. Gad, a guy, and his wife, Yuli, were both killed in the October 2023 terror attack. America's listening.
Prescription products require completion of an online consultation with an independent healthcare provider and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for more details and safety information.
Is Cialis Daily really better than Viagra?
If you like spontaneity, the answer is yes. So when the mood strikes, you're ready to go.
I felt like a young man again. My wife is definitely much happier.
When you take it, you're ready to go. Does Cialis Daily last longer than Viagra?
Guys are raving that their results last even longer.
My partner thinks that I am a rock star.
Because it is effective, I say I'm on a second honeymoon.
It's literally life-changing.
Does RexMD really work?
Over 85% of guys said not only does it work, they saw results the very first night. And you can get your first month free at freerexmd.com with medication delivered direct to your door. There's no copay, no doctor office visit, and your shipping is always free. Visit freerexmd.com to get your first month free. That's FREEREXMD.com.
No traffic, no big deal. It's the Morning Extra on 106.3.
Friday Eve, you can smell the weekend. You stand on your tippy toes, you can see it. I know it's going to be rainy, but who cares? It's the days off.
It doesn't bother me one bit. It's fine.
Not at all. Front office lows doesn't bother me at all. I am going to enjoy it. I'm going to lay back. We're thinking about... I just don't know the weather's going to allow. A friend of ours' son was drafted by the Red Sox, and he's playing up in Greenville. He's a catcher, just won the whatever league they're in, the Greenville minor league team. He won Black Player of the Week. So we're thinking about going up to see him tomorrow night. But I'm afraid the rain is going to hose us off and not allow us to get up there. But it's so cool to see these kids that you've seen for so long play since they were 9 years old, and all of a sudden he's bigger than you are. And he's a professional baseball player. It's freaking nuts, man.
I think you should go and wear white.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You can be 1980s, Tawny Katane Tug in the rain.
They'll love that. They'll think that's great, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm thinking the rain's going to hold us off. So if we don't go, I'm thinking maybe we're just going to sit on the couch and not do a whole lot of nothing. Maybe watch Casino Royale, since that was our conversation yesterday, the old James Bond movie that I've never seen. And that came up on the show. But you've got a trip. You're headed up to Tennessee with your daughter for a big volleyball camp.
Yeah, we got the trip to Franklin, and I kind of got reeled into this a little bit. I mean, we did it last year, but last year it was here. It was in Atlanta, and so I was the one who was in charge of getting her, back and forth. This time around, again, she's got to make the team, just like she did last year, and this time avoid a concussion, which happened the year
fingers
before.
Crossed there.
Yeah, fingers crossed there. And so the goal is we actually have to jump in the car about 20, 25 minutes after the show, get up to Franklin, Tennessee to get checked in. And it's me and one of the other dads. So we have to check them in. We're not allowed to actually go to any of the workouts. So it's basically like turn them in and then, okay, we'll see y'all Saturday.
Well, that leaves the door open, though.
It sure does. Yeah, we were talking about if the weather's decent, it's like, you want to go hang by the pool? Yeah, we'll go hang by the pool.
Boys that out.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. No, I love it. Chuck Schumer, he's been the Democrats' guy. It was him and Nancy Pelosi. They ran Washington, D.C. Now, both of them have been kind of neutered, maybe partially due to age, but partially due to just being out of power. And Chuck Schumer, though, he's talking about the big, beautiful bill. And he says, we are all going to die.
And we all know one thing. Donald Trump is just lying about the bill. Lying about the bill. Well, here's the "we are all going to die" act.
Just lay it all out there. Of all the things to say. I mean, you can say all kinds of things you want to about it. And like people like Rand Paul and Thomas Massey have concerns about the debt ceiling and the debt that is going to cause. And look, we've discussed that. We have some of the same issues that they do. Elon Musk has kind of pushed back on it, and there's a lot of debate and conversation. No one, Los has said we're all going to die because of the bill.
This is why they're not serious people. I mean, these are the same people that told me, 3 weeks ago, well, if we continue down this road, it's going to crater the economy. These are the same people that told me that store shelves are going to be empty. These are the same people that continue to make up these emergency situations, and none of them come to fruition. So what at this point, what are they left to? If you don't do this, you'll die. Okay? Like,
I can't see through my tears. We're all gonna die. We're gonna die, aren't we? We're gonna die. We're all gonna die.
There you go. That's what it sounded like to me. A bunch of cartoon characters. Everybody's in panic mode.
I mean, I have a very simple view of this. For years, I used to joke around that if you didn't listen to a particular segment we were doing, you would get an STD.
That's right.
Like, it was the threat of like, if you don't do this, you're going to get this. And it was a goofy threat.
Yeah.
I actually have now seen the ranking member when it comes to the Democrat Party tell me that if you happen to see this bill go through, we're all going to die.
Yeah, it's just... They have nothing else to say. There's nothing that they have that bites. There's nothing that they have that they can oppose Donald Trump with because none of their ideas are good. That's the reason they were voted out of office. And so they've been reduced to, well, if you pass this, everybody dies. That's where they are. Well, that's what looking like 19% approval is. This is it. That's what it looks like.
I mean, these are people. And Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi at one point that had the power that they removed an American president. Okay? Yeah. Like, that's what they did to Joe Biden. They were like, hey, we're not going to win with you. You got to go. We'll threaten you with the 25th Amendment. You got to get out of here. That's how powerful at one point they were. Now, they're like cats without claws. Okay, like it all looks the same. Yeah, it looks the same as what it used to, but there's no fight in it.
No, there is none. And everything that they put up is a huge eye roll from people. From the $20 million they're spending to talk to men, and we'll get to that later because we've got new information about this and who's running that organization, what they're saying, and what they came up with, Los. You and I earned that $20 million yesterday. They should have given it to us. We could have told them everything that Politico is reporting that they've come up with their $20 million speaking with American men. So That's where they are. Their wheels are spinning. They've got nothing to say. They have no bite, like you said, no claws. There's nothing they can do except scream, "We're going to die," and look like children, look unserious as they are. While Donald Trump, are there conversations about the big beautiful bill? Sure, there are.
100%.
But they're good, constructive conversations. I'm glad they're happening. They should happen. That's the beauty of what our system of government does. We present an idea, and then we debate the idea. We come up with best ways moving forward. But the goal is the American dream. We want to create an economic situation so the American dream can live, so the American dream can prosper. And right now, at least up until the last 4 months, it's been really, really difficult to achieve the American dream.
Well, yeah, and that is what has been going on when it comes to home ownership. So this was a number that ended up being put out there yesterday. You can find it over at NWokeness, and it talked about the median age of your first-time home buyer. And you and I, Tug, obviously we were kind of on the different end of this because we both were coming of age in the predatory loan scandal time period. Like my wife and I at 24 years old, we had at 23 a Buckhead apartment, and then it turned into, well, maybe we should use the money we're spending here and let's own something so that we can sell it at some point and make a little bit of money. And we both were sitting back as we're signing the paperwork going, well, we make sure we probably sell this thing within about 5 years.
Yeah, you have a plan.
This balloon payment is going to be really ugly the way it happens. But, so we came across, in that era. Well, here is what the median age of first-time home buyers is now. In the 1980s, it was 28 years old. Not unusual, not crazy. That's it's a good, solid number. Right. 1990, it was 30 years old. Not a problem, not an issue there. And it slowly creeped up. By 2000, we were at 31. By 2024, it's now 38 years old.
Jeez, dude.
So the idea of when do I start the American dream has gone from 28 to 38. And again, because this is the median age, you're taking basically the top number and the bottom number, you're getting rid of them. Here's the middle number. That's not the average, it's just, here's the median area. And when you jump by 10 years in this span of time, it's basically letting you know the American dream of, go through high school, get a job, buy a home. Not realistic. Go through high school, go to college, buy a home. Not realistic.
Yeah, and I mean, that's right on the nose for me because I bought my first place, bought my townhome up in Woodstock. I was 37.
Okay, so,
yep.
but you
right on the nose.
Yep.
Where Los and I, did you say you were 24, Los, when you bought
I was 24 when I bought the first home.
Yeah. So now, if I was married, maybe I would have start that that whole process earlier.
Maybe a little bit.
But
it's not going to take 10 years off of it.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
You might have backed it up, let's say 5 years, 4 years, whatever.
And looking around at folks that are, like you guys, it's like, man, I feel like I'm further behind than they are, than they were.
And understandably so. And understandably, and the data now backs it up, and that's what we try to always do on the show, and Los is so good at it. He's the numbers guy for the show, is able to take really complex numbers and make them simple, like he has done with this. But that's the thing. Now we have hard data that backs up everything that Donald Trump has been saying, everything we've been saying, that the Democrats are making the ability to live the American dream almost disappear. And that's why Donald Trump won in a landslide. It's probably not just that. I should probably
it certainly made sense for young people.
Definitely contributed to it.
Yeah, I think what ended up playing out, especially when it came to young men, there's an inclination of you want the same things, if not more, than what your parents had. And for them to see, here's what my parents were doing, here's what I can't possibly have happen, you start to blame your government.
That's right. And you start to make changes, and you start to change in the way you vote, and you try to put somebody in place that's going to make the American dream reachable. And the other side of that, Los, is the young people feeling that way, Jure feeling that way. I worry about it for my own son. Like, what is his possibility of living the American dream going to be? I mean, we've narrowed it down. If you get married, stay married. After you graduate high school, work hard, then yes, you can complete the American dream. There is the ability to do it there. But the uphill battle because of what the Democrats have done over the last 20, 30 years is almost insurmountable. So that's why I'm so concerned about my own son. He's 2 years away. This fall, he'll start his junior year of college, and I hope he goes and gets a master's, and whether he does or not, I don't know. But I hope he does, and I hope that gives him that advantage, that leg up. But I don't know that it will, because there's so many people that have graduated with master's degrees that can't afford a home.
Yeah, and I think about it, and just exactly as you're laying it out there, if you've done every little thing where you've tried to build up as many credits in American society as you possibly can be, you went to high school, then you went in college, then you went and decided to get an advanced degree after you got an undergraduate degree. You're supposed to be the person that where things are laid out for you, and that's not the case. In fact, the measurement now becomes, and this is smart of your son and the benefit of being an athlete, it's going to be how many things can I accomplish without having the corresponding debt? Because that's the problem that happens for a lot of these young people.
And then when you think about what the price of homes are now, compared to when we bought. It's insane. It's through the freaking roof.
We looked up my old townhome that my wife and I had bought in 2004. And again, that's 20 years ago. But yet the price on a little small 3-bedroom, 1,200 square foot townhome in Alpharetta is more than doubled from what it was when we purchased it. Now, granted, 2004 to 2025, yeah, you expect some of that stuff. But that was the first time home buyer where you go and say, I'm going to spend $150,000. It's a whole different other scenario to basically say, I'm going to spend $350,000, $400,000 on a place that's just a little bit bigger than an apartment.
But that's the thing with DC spending the way they do. The Fed that we talked about that's manipulating, rates, and it seems to be for a partisan reason.
Let's make sure the Trump economy doesn't take off. Keep the interest rates high.
It's exactly what it feels like, exactly what it looks like, and I think that's what the Trump administration believes as well as we do. But my son was nervous about having $7,500 because we made him have skin in the game. Like, dude, if you want to go to Charleston, he had a small baseball scholarship, was great, but there was going to be $2,500 every semester that he had to take out. He was there 3 semesters. And had $7,500 in debt. And he was so nervous about it. He's like, I don't have a job. How am I going to pay this? And then fast forward into the conversation that we're having, where kids are coming out of college and maybe they wait a couple years, but they want to buy a home and they need $95,000 as a down payment. Ugh. To just buy their first starter home, because those are about $245,000, $250,000 out of the gate. Who can do that as a young person?
I mean, you're talking about lowering interest rates. I am watching that like a hawk.
Yeah.
Because if it happens and we get enough refi, and I mean, because my mortgage payment is more than my parents' mortgage payment, because they just moved a couple of years ago and they've got a really nice place, but they were able to sell their old house, put a lot of that cash into the new house. It makes sense. It's just how it works. Yeah. But I'm telling you, when it gets the time right, when the time gets right, if
that's the big if, Los.
Yeah.
The if.
I'm trying to manifest this.
Absolutely.
I mean,
put it out there in the universe.
Jerry is describing a scenario exactly what we ended up having. Between the sale of our first home out of Alpharetta and then the one that we just finished selling. We ended up, and this sounds crazy, we ended up putting down about 60% of the home cost into the house. We were like, okay, let's just roll this money into the next place. And so suddenly, the note doesn't look so crazy. It doesn't look so big. But tell me the 23-year-old that's able to put together enough money for even 20% down. That's not realistic with some of these prices.
Yeah, when you think about taxes, you think about the regulation, you think about inflation, the cost of houses, and it just seems like that the American dream is being pushed further and further out of the way. And I swear the people in D.C. despise middle-class people.
Well, I mean, you have the scenario, Tug, where under the Obama administration, because it goes back to them, you had the lowest amount of home ownership in 50 years, and that was by design. There's a reason why you have the book out there, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. You'll own nothing and like it. That's part of what the long-term plan is, that if you don't have private property ownership, then there's only so much wealth you can actually accumulate.
And the people that vote for leftists and Democrats Like they're buying right into it. I don't know that they realize what the message is or what the plan is, because they buy into all the gobbledygook that the Democrats put out there. Oh, we're going to take care of everybody. It's free this, it's free that, and yes, we're going to invite the entire world. We're going to take care of them too. It just none of it adds up. And then when they run into strong nationalists like us, what are we? Fierce nationalists. What's the word? What is it?
I'm an aggressive nationalist.
That's right.
I'm an aggressive nationalist. You deal with that.
When they hear our messages and our ways of thinking, they're blown away. They're like, those extremists. But the Democrats have told us that those people are terrible.
You radicals.
That's exactly right. The woman lied to you for 2 years and now wants you to believe that she's not even a Democrat. Next on Extra 106.3.
Start your day with Tug and Los on the Morning Extra from 6 to 10. Then it's Glenn Beck, Clay and Buck at noon, and the Kimmer Show on your ride home from 3 to 6. And hang out every night for Jesse Kelly at 6 and Jimmy Fela at 9. And stream it all live in crystal clear HD on the Extra 106.3 app.
Good morning, it's Los. Let's talk about Honest Car Guy, honestcarguy.com. That's Tom. And listen, you're going to get to be on a first-name basis with Tom. But here's how everything starts when it comes to that relationship with Tom and securing your next vehicle. Just come up with the make and model. That's it. That's all. If you decide already, listen, I'm already interested in this particular vehicle, and that can go anywhere from the highest end vehicle, the crazy six-figure vehicles, all the way down to what you would typically see driving on the road anywhere around Atlanta. If you say, hey, Tom, I'm looking to buy this crazy Porsche, he can help you out with that. Hey, Tom, I'm just looking to go ahead and get a domestic car because I've got a daughter who's turning 16 years old, and I need to get her a ride. He can help you out with that. What happens when you work with Tom? He is able to eliminate all of the dealership fees that you end up having to deal with when you do the traditional car buying purchase, okay? That's the big key to what honestcarguy.com and Tom is pushing. You are able to be part of that process. He'll lay it out there for you. It's fully transparent, and by the time you select the vehicle and you make that purchase, he's going to share everything with you. He's going to charge you the Honest Car Guy fee, and that is it. That is all. You will end up saving thousands of dollars when you make the change, when you make that difference between walking into a dealership and having to pay for all of the craziness they have you doing or working with Tom. So again, go to honestcarguy.com. That's honestcarguy.com, or give Tom a call. The number 1-844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME1.
Enthusiastic and efficient, the GLC SUV offers turbo hybrid power, a 9-speed automatic transmission that puts passing power at your fingertips, and perfect proportions. The GLC's flowing lines and precise edges are smooth to the wind, rugged in the rough, and elegant everywhere. Get an exceptional offer on the 2025 Mercedes-Benz GLC 300 SUV, just $589 per month for 36 months with $56.93 due at signing, exclusively from RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this vehicle and many other models during the Mercedes-Benz Dream Days sales event. Visit today to see how to qualify. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta, Sandy Springs through June 30th, 2025. Excludes tax, tag, title, and Georgia lemon law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
Hey, Atlanta's Mark from the Safe House. I have a question for you. Am I the only person pissed off with the mainstream fake news, liberal judges,
and whiny liberal politicians
who don't realize why Donald Trump is president, and fake safes? And you may wonder, why fake safes? Well, a fake safe is like Joe Biden, cheap and ineffective. A real safe from the Atlanta Safe House is like Donald Trump, tough, effective, and provides peace of mind when you need it the most. So drop by Atlanta Safe House and check out the largest selection of safes in the Southeast and see what a real safe looks like. So go to atlantasafehouse.com.
Stovall & Company is a locally owned and operated family business that has been around for 75 years, offering quality wholesale landscape supplies to North Georgia. We just opened our 11th location in Canton, Georgia at 9500 Union Hill. Stovall provides contractors with personalized expert service from special requests to direct job site delivery for hassle-free jobs and quality relationships at competitive prices. From plants to irrigation to hardscapes, Stovall truly has it all. Check us out at StovallInc.com.
My name is Patrick, and I'm the Military Outreach Manager at the Warrior Alliance. I served in the U.S. Army as an airborne ranger and deployed to several combat zones in support of the global war on terror. Veterans bring excellence through our work ethic, skills, and civic duty. However, transitioning to civilian life can be difficult, as we all share a loss of purpose when leaving the military. Returning veterans have earned and deserve our support so they can thrive on their journey home. The Warrior Alliance understands the challenge and is helping warriors navigate to success after service. Join us in changing thousands of lives for the better. Donate today at thewarrioralliance.org.
Securing America.
A House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee hearing Wednesday focused on the challenges faced by NATO. Former U.S. Rep to NATO, Julianne Smith.
NATO's enduring strength lies not only in its military might, but in the shared values of its members and their collective commitment to defend one another.
But witnesses also pointed out looming dangers, in particular the aggressive actions of Russia's Vladimir Putin. Dr. Niall Gardner is the director of the Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom.
Without NATO, the brutal reality is that Russian forces would very likely today be rolling into the Baltic states and deep into Europe.
Retired Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery expanded that thought, warning,
neither Russia nor China will be cajoled or coddled into compliance or even peaceful coexistence.
All witnesses called for NATO's European members to contribute more to the alliance financially. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Thursday, June 5th. The Cobb Planning Commission approved a proposal for a $100 million apartment development on Cobb Parkway just south of Cumberland Mall. The Homewood Suites Hotel by Hilton will be torn down to make way for the development. Homeland Security raided a Marietta nail salon earlier this week. Immigration agents arrested 12 illegal aliens working at Lux Nail Salon on Chastain Meadows Parkway. The agency says the business owners will face consequences, but no official charges yet. And the Georgia Forestry Commission is warning Georgia landowners about a surge in southern pine beetles. They say early monitoring has indicated an especially high level of beetle activity this year. An infestation of the bugs can cause serious damage and destroy trees quickly. Today's weather partly cloudy with the possibility of isolated storms. Temperatures will reach the mid-80s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
If you headed out the door, may want to bring an umbrella with you. I don't know. Maybe for the next 10 days or so, because it looks like rain is TFN. But just rain just continues.
But Tug, it's sunny outside right now.
It is? Well, maybe where you are.
Well, at least over in North Forsyth.
That's right. Lowe's working from home today because he's about to leave, take his daughter to a big volleyball event in Tennessee. Here at the Battery Atlanta, home of your Atlanta Braves, not so much. It looks like misty, hazy gray. So I guess it just depends on where you are. But wherever you are, you may want to take an umbrella with you because it may unfold on you at any time.
I caught it yesterday. I actually
poured at our house yesterday.
Man, I left the house and everything looked, it was a little threatening, but not that big of a deal. By the time I walked into the Battery, soaked.
Dude,
I didn't do the umbrella either.
Yeah, right. Well, because dudes don't do umbrellas. Let's be honest. That was for the ladies in the audience.
I know, but I have one. I do
too.
And it's not a really good one. It's pretty crappy. I just was like, you know what? I'm going to get wet either way. Let me just deal with it.
I got two in my truck. And they're only there because my wife left them in there. You know what I mean? Because I'd never take an umbrella. Never, ever, ever. I don't think dudes, by and large, maybe this is not I guess it is a blanket statement, but maybe some dudes do carry umbrellas. Maybe if they got important jobs where they, got to look a particular way, they carry umbrellas. But most dudes do not.
I just want to be prepared, and for the most part, I have an umbrella. I'm ready to go. Just yesterday, I was beaten. I was like, you know what? It's crappy. I'm just gonna walk in.
That's right.
I had my Braves jersey, my Ozzie jersey, hanging off the back of a chair because we went to the Braves game last Saturday, and my girlfriend comes over for dinner, and she's going back to her place. And I go over to her place later, and I'm like, what's my jersey doing here? She's like, I use that as an umbrella.
See?
Like, what respect?
Not mad about it.
No respect for Ozzy. No respect for the jersey, but respect for her hair because we don't get that wet, which I understand. Look, I would if she would have asked, you would have given it to her anyway. Of course. Or maybe found her an actual umbrella.
I'm proud of her for quick thinking.
Yeah,
improvise.
Right there on your feet. Corinne Jean-Pierre, she was the White House press secretary for 2 years, and every day she told us that Joe Biden is just the best She was just as bad as Joe Scarborough on Morning Joe. Well, now that she's no longer in the administration, she's no longer tied to Democrat politics. She has come out. She's come out as an independent. Yeah, she's no longer a Democrat, and she says that the things that were happening were crazy. But she's got a new book, a new tell-all, of course. And she's actually going to tell you the truth. She wants you, Los. She wants you to believe her now that she's left the Democrat Party. I want you to hear her talking about this. Listen to this. This man, I've seen grifters before, but this one hits it out of the park. Listen.
Personally, I think what was the toughest thing to see in the 3 weeks was there was a disconnect for me. What was happening with leadership in the Democratic Party and how it was truly, as my former colleague, communications director Ben LeBolt said, it was a firing squad. And I had never seen anything like it before. I'd never seen a party do that in the way that they did. And it was hurtful and sad to see that happening. A firing squad around a person who I believe was a true patriot, a person who I believe did everything that he can for this country, a person who I believe, as I mentioned before, has done more in one term than most presidents had done in 2 terms, historical things. And I was shocked by what I was seeing.
And Karine, just to clarify, these are other Democrats and Democratic leadership coming out against Biden.
Yep, I had never seen anything like that. That was, if you're asking me, the thing that I saw in those 3 weeks, that was shocking.
Meaning the last 3 weeks of the administration. Now, she didn't have the courage to tell you that then, but all of a sudden, when there's, potentially hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars on the table, yeah, I might open up and tell you the truth about what happened. But then the other thing, Los, she hit you with the Biden is a great patriot BS. That's the part. Just be honest. If you're saying you're going to be honest in this book, why not actually be honest? Say, yes, he was running shell companies. Yes, Hunter Biden was in the White House running everything. Jill Biden was the one that was leading the charge. Tell me the truth. And she still isn't telling you the truth. But because she's left the Democrat Party, she wants you to think she is.
First off, if there was ever going to be anyone who would have more of the dirt, how about somebody who is in the White House every single day, having to come across and tell the American people what the administration's information is? Now, I don't fault her for lying to us for 2 years. That's her job. That's what she was supposed to do. She wasn't very good at it. She would go to her book and she would hem and haw, and like I said, she couldn't spar with anybody. It was just, let me read this, and because I'm black and I'm lesbian, I have the job. That's all that it ended up coming down to it. Now, here's the problem that I have with all this stuff. Don't tell me he's an American patriot when your entire party turned against him, and we have endless amounts of information about how he was profiteering off of his position for years in D.C. If that is then a patriot, I think we have to redefine what a patriot is.
No doubt about it. And I want to go back quickly, though, where you said that she, that was her job for 2 years. And you're right about that, of course. That was her job, feed the line. But now, all of a sudden, she has the integrity?
Why circling back to the truth?
Why don't, if it meant so much to you, why not step away from that position? Why not say, I can't do this. I have more integrity than this.
I mean, and this is where the woman does understand media.
Sure,
she decided, I'm leaving the Democrat Party, because that then becomes the headline.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the book's
KJP.
called The Independent.
Right. She's leaving the Democrat Party, and now she's going to tell you, tell me about that man wandering naked around the White House.
No, he's a patriot. Everything's good.
Yeah, tell me about how his wife was running cabinet meetings. Tell me about how the cokehead, the crackhead, was actually wielding real power within the White House. Don't tell me about, well, he's a patriot, and I can't believe they treated him this way, and I've now decided that I'm an independent. No, give me the real dirt. Give me the real good info.
I just want to know who is running our government. Tell me that. Just give me, I'm not even looking for all the dirt necessarily. Just tell me the truth about who was running America for at least the 2 years that you were there. Who was making those decisions?
Yeah.
Who was running the auto pen? Why is it that Democrats stabbed him in the back because they knew he couldn't win? Why did you go out and say that Donald Trump's a threat to democracy while you were watching the threat to democracy unfold? Tell me those things. I don't even care about the dirt. Just tell me the actual truth, that I don't believe that she's going to tell you that either. Just like I don't believe Jake Tapper's telling you any of the truth. They're going to do whatever they can to put themselves in a position to have a whole lot of money on the backs of the American people by holding the truth and then seasoning their book with the truth, because I don't believe that the full truth will be in there.
No, and I'm right there with you, Tug. I believe a lot of this comes down to you're going to be like the good soldier. You're going to be like, you know what? I decided I'm going to be independent, but I'm not taking your secrets and I'm not putting them out there. Because everything that's been talked about within this book, there is nothing that we have heard that is some salacious deal of. Right. We found, hey, one night we tried to have a cabinet meeting and Joe Biden came in eating carrots and saying that he was Bugs Bunny. Okay, that, like we haven't had that story yet, but I believe that story is out there. And until somebody starts spilling the beans on that, I'm not really interested in what you decided in your personal journey of self-discovery. I'm now an independent. I don't care.
That is it's for me, just knowing that you lied to me for 2 years, you didn't have the integrity to step away because you couldn't tell the truth. You're there. You're the mouthpiece. You couldn't, but you could say, I'm stepping away. And you didn't have to sell them out right then. No. I'm stepping out of this position. If you had integrity, that's what you would have done.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it just comes back to, just as you said, integrity. If again, you don't have to sell him out. Your job is to make sure that you put the administration in the best light on a regular basis. If you are such a good soldier, and I think that's what she was trying to do, it then feels weird that of all people, who was like primary liar number one. Yeah. Now she's like, now trust me, and here's a book.
Right. And because I've left the party. That's the other thing. So what did that say about the Democrat Party that you were a member of for so long? That all of a sudden you're leaving because they can't tell the truth because they held a coup.
It's too far now. I can't believe they treated him like this. What?
Or is it closer to a whole stack of dollar bills? And then you're like, yeah, exactly. Then you're like, well, and if you pay me enough, then I can come out and say, yes, I'm not going to be a part of this anymore. But while I was in that seat, I'm going to do whatever it takes. She never belonged there. She was the worst press secretary anybody has ever seen by all measures.
It was brutal. Yeah.
Nobody could say she was a good press secretary ever. She was DEI at its finest.
Especially coming off the heels of Kayleigh McEnany. She was so great.
Or even Jen Psaki.
Jen Psaki was pretty elite.
Prior to her. But, yeah, no doubt. But, that's the thing that it's just so... The rats jumping off the ship, it's so predictable. And even Politico says this is the worst thing that they've ever seen in Washington, D.C. Dude, when Politico says it's the worst thing you've ever seen... This is a leftist organization talking about a leftist, press secretary saying it's the worst thing I've ever seen. That's when you know you've hit rock freaking bottom. Next thing on the docket is the Pennsylvania mayor who decided, no, I'm going to get in the way of ICE, Los.
Man, you want to talk about what is going on around the country where some of these people are getting very loose with... Again, it goes back to the whole idea of like, it's the resistance. This is what we're going to do. We're going to keep you from being able to come into our communities and operate. The left has decided, they truly have decided that when it comes to ICE and enforcement of our border laws, that this really is the modern day Gestapo. Like, this is something that you're supposed to, hide the Jews from because, if they show up here, this is what they're going to do to them. They've created that scenario in their mind. And so for every single one of these people that does this, I say prosecute the hell out of them.
Me too.
You get to use the law against them.
That's right.
And so they get a taste of what it's like.
Just like the judge. The one that the DOJ is prosecuting was that in Wisconsin.
For letting them illegal out the back door. She aided and abetted getting him away from ICE federal officials.
And while the victims of his crimes sat in her courtroom. It wasn't bad enough that she did that, but right in front of the people that were actually abused by this person, who were actually, they had a crime committed against them by this person. You're talking about low down. You're exactly right. The fullest extent of the law. The mayor of Nashville talking about doxing ICE agents. He needs to prosecute them. Hakeem Jeffries, he needs to be prosecuted. The DOJ needs to come out like Yosemite Sam and just start firing away at all these fools until they get to the point where it's like a misbehaving kid. Until you correct them, they're going to continue to misbehave. And Donald Trump, Dad's home. Let's start handling these people the way they need to be handled.
Well, they believe with their status that they've earned this position where they're above the law. And I love that you have this administration basically pointing out to them, don't do that. Yeah. It's not allowed. If you fine, we're going to prosecute you, and then they look around and they're like, me? Why are you prosecuting me?
No.
I didn't do anything. I was just trying to protect people, for the Gestapo. That's all I was doing.
Yeah, that's what Hannah. That's the judge in Wisconsin. Just looked her up, Hannah Dugan. That's her pretty much her defense. And they talk about Donald Trump. He's the threat to democracy. No, you are. You're actually doing the things that cause people to not have faith in the systems that are in place in America. You are the reason. And they'll continue to do it while continuing to call Donald Trump a Hitler and dictator and all those things. Although I have seen them back off of that a little bit.
It's not working.
Because they know it's not working anymore. And even level-headed Democrats, the very, very few that exist, are telling them, the more you do this, the more it benefits Donald Trump, just like the mugshot did. This is the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3 when we continue. 7 o'clock hour, by the way, is brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call, vansantlaw.com. Peter Ducey has noticed the same things we did about a week ago when it comes to Joe Biden's auto pen. Next on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Thursday, June 5th. The Atlanta Braves look to avoid a sweep today at the hands of the Arizona Diamondbacks at Truist Park after a 2-1 loss last night. This afternoon, you'll have Grant Holmes on the mound for the Braves. Brandon Font makes a start for the Snakes. First pitch is set for 12:15. The Edmonton Oilers struck first in the Stanley Cup Finals as they beat the visiting Florida Panthers last night 4-3 in overtime. Game 2 is set for tomorrow night. And the NBA Finals begin tonight, starting in Oklahoma City. As the Thunder host the Indiana Pacers, OKC is nearly a 10-point favorite for this matchup tonight. That tip-off is set for 8:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
This is Bruce Hagan. The law in Georgia has changed, and it's going to be harder than ever to get fair treatment on your personal injury claim. If you have been injured through no fault of your own, call me. You need a real lawyer, and that's who we are. We're not some TV and billboard lawyers who don't even know how to get to the courthouse. I've been a Georgia super lawyer for 20 consecutive years, and that's because I try cases and I win cases. We get results for our clients, and we can get results for you. Hagan-law.com.
I enjoy a good night's sleep, and I like to breathe while I'm sleeping. My wife appreciates that, too. That's why I wear a CPAP. You want the right machine. You want expert advice. You want all the supplies that go with it. You get it all at CPAPs, etc. in Alpharetta. Machines, masks, tubing, filters, cleaning supplies, all of it, and they ship nationwide. Walk-ins, by the way, are welcome. CPAPs, etc. Alpharetta, CPAPSETC.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Are home repairs piling up? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Relax. We've got you covered. From drywall dings and leaky faucets to deck repairs and trim replacement, we're your one-stop shop for everything for your home needs. No more juggling multiple contractors. Just call us at the Trusted Toolbox and we'll handle it. Your home deserves the best, and we don't want you breaking your back trying. Call the Trusted Toolbox today at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. The Trusted Toolbox, your one-stop shop for home repairs and more.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts
It's here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
Retirement components look different for everyone because everyone is unique, but there are major components everyone needs in their retirement. So, Coach Pete, what are things that need to be covered with everyone?
The four main things we go over: retirement planning. Everyone needs a retirement plan. We're all going to retire eventually. We need to make sure our money's waiting for us when we get there instead of us waiting for our money. And then we need asset allocation and investment guidance. In other words, where is your money? Why is it there? And should it stay there? Or when do we move it around every now and then? Or should we move it? Is it a good time to move it now? Then tax planning. Nothing in writing that says you have to overpay. When you're in retirement, you want taxes in your favor, not against you. And then estate, succession, legacy planning.
For a complete retirement review, comprehensive and customized, call Coach Pete's local trusted advisor, Craig Chandler of Chandler Wealth Management. 800-419-6164. 800-419-6164. Again, 800-419-6164.
I'm Chad Pergram with the Speaker's Lobby. The questions now swirling about the health of former President Biden are not new. Questions about his gait, slurred speech, and mental acuity dogged Mr. Biden throughout his tenure. But none of this is new, be it a conversation about former President Biden or a host of other former presidents. Doctors operated on President Grover Cleveland as he grappled with oral cancer while on a yacht in New York Harbor. President Woodrow Wilson suffered a debilitating stroke. His confidants covered that up, and his wife Edith Wilson exercised extraordinary power while he was sick. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt was confined to a wheelchair. Radio and newspaper reporters knew it, but elected not to tell the country. President John F. Kennedy had a chronic back injury, which the public knew little about. Former President Ronald Reagan came close to dying after a 1981 assassination attempt. Reagan's handlers downplayed the injuries, and members of the Trump administration weren't as truthful as they could have been about just how sick the president was when he contracted COVID-19 just before the 2020 election. With the Speaker's Lobby, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Stream Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, Glenn Beck, Fox News, and even NASCAR on Sundays. Anywhere on the Xtra 106.3 app. Download the app now and get 24/7 access to the live stream, the latest news, and everything you need to know about Atlanta's only conservative talk station. Download the Xtra 106.3 app for Apple or Android and check out even more great original content at thepodcastpark.com.
Only time will tell as to how the auto pen scandal will be remembered. Los and I have talked about it a million times. This is the biggest scandal. The entire Biden administration is the biggest scandal in American history, bar none. And people are starting to talk about it more. It's been, it blew up in the media for a little while. But Los and I had noticed and pointed out to everyone listening to this show weeks ago that there was only one signature of the 8,000 that was supposedly signed, mostly auto-penned, that were pardons. And the one was for his son, Hunter Biden. And if you look at it, the B in Biden looks very feeble. It looks very shaky. All of a sudden, Peter Doocy from Fox News Channel has noticed that too.
Peter Doocy here outside the West Wing of the White House. And there's rarely a good reason to bring a prop to a White House briefing. But this afternoon, after spending a couple hours going through justice.gov with a color printer, I had an idea. There is one that looks different. It looks authentic. In fact, if you look at the last name, it almost looks like the president was having a hard time spelling his last name there.
Very interesting props if you want to bring them to my office later so I can take a closer look.
Joe Biden was the president. He signed so many different things. Why was the one thing he signed the day before he left so messy?
We pointed this out to you, and now, finally, Lo, somebody's picked it up and goes, hey, maybe I should introduce this to Carolyn Levitt and the president.
Every one of those signatures that we have gone over, they are all identical to one another with the exception of that one. And you wonder, because of who was in charge of the auto pen, is that actually Joe or is that Hunter? Because it just seems very convenient that one of them decided on the way out, I'm going to give you a blanket pardon that's going to exist all the way to 2014. So any crime you were involved in and any crime moving forward until what ended up being actually January 1st of 2024, you were absolved of. That's what they gave him. That's what they handed him. Like, you want to do all the crack you want? Go ahead. But January 1st, 2025, you better mind your P's and Q's.
That's right. And now James Comer has come out and said that he's expanding that investigation into the cover-up of President Joe Biden's mental decline and that use of the auto pen. Ron Klain is being brought before Congress. Michael Danilon, the senior advisor to the president. Anita Dunn, former senior advisor to the president for communications. Bruce Reed, deputy chief of staff policy. And Steve Ricchetti, former counsel to the president. All of them getting hauled in front of James Comer and crew to answer for this. And they should, under oath, they should be able to say, I did this or I didn't do that. And now's the time to come clean. Now's the time to lay it out there, because I want to see these people in handcuffs if they don't.
I just believe, Tug, that what we're going to find out, and hopefully one of them ends up laying out the goods. I think we're going to find out that, as I joke around about the teacher's lounge, or as you had it, the board of directors, they all had access to the auto pen, and they all did favors that enriched them. That's what we'll find out.
And something that you'd brought up earlier, now Tim Burchett confirms that the staffers were taking payoffs, taking bribes for those. I mean, there's not a reason for the number of pardons to go from, what was it, like 2,000 maybe for most presidents?
The most that we had was under Barack Obama. He was right at about 2,000. Every other president in the modern era, since basically about the last about 25, 30 years, has been right around anywhere from 500 to 1,200. Joe Biden had 8,000.
Dude. It's so obvious what was happening. It's so clear, and everybody knows it. And that's why James Comer is asking people to come in front of Congress. That's why Tim Burchett is not afraid to get out there and say, yes, here's what we believe, or actually confirm, here's what we know was happening. These people were making off like bandits on the backs of American taxpayers. And these people that took advantage of the American people's trust, they took advantage of the United States of America as a whole, made money left and right, hand over fist, and did it and rub it in your face every day. They feel comfortable rubbing this in your face.
Well, and again, the nutty part of what we bring up with this entire administration, that there was so much illegality. And then what did they do on the way out? They granted themselves pardons to make sure that any of their illegality could not be prosecuted, because when it comes to a presidential pardon, it is absolute. That's going to be another one of those, if you want to call it a constitutional discussion. What happens when you have a president that grants 8,000 pardons, but he didn't do them without actually the knowledge of having done them?
Yeah, had no idea that it was going on.
Because they're absolute either way.
That's right.
If you got a presidential pardon, Tug, for whatever it is that you were involved in, that's the end of that. That's how it's supposed to work. What happens when it's found out that Joe Biden had no idea that these things were being done?
And now that Karine Jean-Pierre, because we talked about her book in the last segment, now that she's left the Democrat Party and her book's called Independent and she's ready to spill the beans, they need to haul her up in front of the Oversight Committee. And now that she's willing to tell the truth, now that she's refound her integrity, maybe ask her a few questions, because she saw it up close and personal every day. And who's she got to protect now? Who does she, like, if she says that Joe Biden was a patriot, as she described in that cut we played for you, then good. Go protect him. Go show that those people took advantage of Joe Biden, the guy that you think so much of. Go protect his integrity that you didn't have then, but all of a sudden do now.
This is such an offshoot of what is going to be, just as you said, one of the biggest controversies in the history of the presidency. This is going to be a factor. I think a lot of this always is going to come back to the big picture. If he was cancer-ridden and he had dementia, all right, how many things were actually being run around him and he was just the figurehead?
That's right.
And to the point where at the very end, like after all the damage was done, at the very end, the people who were responsible, who were actually doing the damage to the country, decided to pardon themselves on the way out.
Dude, you got to give a hat tip to the Democrats. Not only were they able to steal an election,
they know how to be filthy.
Dude, they have it down pat. Now, things are falling off. The wheels are coming off the bus because the American people are fed up with it, and that's why they voted the way they did for Donald Trump, just to put it back on them.
Well, how bad of a job did you do where a reality TV star and Hitler ended up being overwhelmingly voted back in after you did basically a decade of calling him Hitler?
That's exactly right. Oversight. We won't stop exposing the biggest political scandal in American history, which that was stated here on this show before I ever saw it on Fox News, on anywhere else. We've talked about that for weeks and weeks and weeks, if not months. And then Donald Trump, with the exception of the rigged presidential election, he said this on Truth Social, with the exception of the rigged presidential election of 2020, the auto pen, biggest scandal in American history. He knows it too. Everybody knows it. This isn't even a secret anymore. So it's time for the rats that are jumping off the bus to finally fess up, finally tell the American people what they did. I don't know that they will. I think they'll plead the fifth. I think they're going to say, no, I don't know anything about it. But if they do, I expect the House Oversight Committee to come down with a vengeance. They need to fix this. They need to correct this because, Los, if they don't, it will happen again, and it may even if they do.
I would imagine that there has to be some law in the books as far as falsifying a federal document, which that would be a pardon. I'd have to imagine that there has to be some sort of jail time that's associated with that because that's what you have to do. You have to threaten jail time so that you can get one of these rats to sing. It's like, which one of y'all? I was like, you're either all headed to prison or you make a deal.
Somebody's getting locked. Somebody has to get locked up just to prove the point. Somebody's got to be the example. Maybe it's Jennifer Granholm. She was in charge of the Department of Energy under Biden. Shoveled out $93 billion in the last 76 days in office. Loans to green, we know what green is, fake marketing, green businesses that weren't vetted like Stacey Abrams' group. In the last 73 days, 3 times their annual budget. Maybe she's the one that needs to go to jail. Somebody's got to pay for this. Somebody has to be corrected or it will happen again. Next on Extra 106.3, get us out of warmongering NATO. I've been saying this even before I got out of the Navy. I remember being in the Navy and us having these discussions. Why we need to be out next on Extra 106.3.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
It can be amusing when somebody utters a phrase that's so stupefyingly ignorant that you can scarcely believe that they know how to breathe. It's worse than it's a family member. Like the family member that once said to me, well, Republicans just don't want people to have health care. The problem there was this family member actually believed that. Right now, that's focusing on Medicaid, which is a welfare program. Donald Trump wants able-bodied Americans age 19 to 64 without dependent children to actually work to receive Medicaid. Numbers from the American Enterprise Institute. Medicaid recipients age 19 through 64, capable of working, no children, spend an average of 4.2 hours every day just vegging, couch potatoes. That's about 126 hours a month. The Trump Medicaid plan would call for these people to spend 80 of those 126 hours actually working, doing community service, or attending school to get job skills. Democrats think that's just one of the most horrible ideas they've ever heard in their lives. Requiring able-bodied welfare recipients, Medicaid recipients, to actually work. What in the world is this country coming to? People, a lot of people, will do the absolute minimum that they have to do in lines of work in order to survive. So much easier for these Americans to just say, let somebody else pay for it. A job, working, doing volunteer work, going to school, sorry, just not my thing. It will remain that way to eternity if we don't make it become at least one of their things. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Fox on Tech.
The most popular AI gets a bit more into your business. ChatGPT will now have the ability to take notes during your meetings and provide you with a transcription. It'll make use of your device's microphone. Parent company OpenAI says the feature works with either just one speaker who likes to talk and think out loud, or with many people sitting down to have a discussion. It'll even timestamp the transcriptions. The new feature is part of the ChatGPT Team module, which is a subscription service. Along with those new transcriptions, OpenAI says ChatGPT can interface with some third-party business apps like cloud storage services, Dropbox, Box, SharePoint, and OneDrive. They promise you can ask the bot to reference figures from a certain business quarter, and it can find it in an old spreadsheet. OpenAI says they've already signed up more than 3 million paying business customers. With Fox on Tech, I'm Eben Brown, Fox News.
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
Israel gets 2 more hostages back, but it's not a rescue. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It was a recovery mission in Gaza for the 2 who were Israeli-American dual citizens.
New York-born Yudi Weinstein Haggai and her husband Gad Haggai, both in their early 70s, were killed in the attack by Hamas of October 7th, 2023. Their bodies were taken to Gaza. But according to the Israeli military, a special operations recovered their remains in Khan Yunis in the south of the Strip.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Hamas still holds 56 hostages, only about a third of them believed to be alive. The man accused of attacking Jewish demonstrators supporting the hostages Sunday in Boulder, Colorado, injuring 15 of them, will appear in state court today. Fox's Kristen Goodwin reports.
Mohammed Solomon faces 16 counts of attempted murder in the first degree and 16 counts of attempted use of an incendiary device. Federal officials who charged him with a hate crime say he planned the attack for a year, noting his wife and 5 children are in custody as they investigate whether they knew about the attack.
A federal judge has blocked the deportations of Solomon's family. Another federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to allow more than 100 alleged gang members deported to El Salvador in March under the Alien Enemies Act to contest their removal. President Trump's issued a new travel ban to keep out
foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas. We don't want them.
His order bans travel from 12 countries, including Afghanistan, Iran, Haiti, and Yemen. Restricts travel from 7 more, Cuba and Venezuela among them. Democrats are calling it cruel and discriminatory. President Trump has also ordered the use of the auto pen during the Biden presidency in an investigation into his mental decline.
Biden responded to those allegations in a new statement saying he knew what he was doing. Quote, "Let me be clear. I made the decisions during my presidency. I made the decisions about the pardons, executive orders, legislation, and proclamations."
As Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. America's listening to Fox News.
Prescription products require completion of an online consultation with an independent healthcare provider and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for more details and safety information.
Is Cialis Daily really better than Viagra?
If you like spontaneity, the answer is yes. So when the mood strikes, you're ready to go.
I felt like a young man again. My wife is definitely much happier.
When you take it, you're ready to go. Does Cialis Daily last longer than Viagra?
Guys are raving that their results last even longer.
My partner thinks that I am a rock star.
Because it is effective, I say I'm on a second honeymoon.
It's literally life-changing.
Does RexMD really work?
Over 85% of guys said not only does it work, they saw results the very first night. And you can get your first month free at freerexmd.com with medication delivered direct to your door. There's no copay, no doctor office visit, and your shipping is always free. Visit freerexmd.com to get your first month free. That's FREEREXMD.com.
What do you say to anyone who still doesn't understand America First? Tell the left now at 404-741-1230 on the Morning Extra.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. Last hour, I was poking fun at people carrying umbrellas because it's supposed to be, rain for the next 10 days at least. And I said most dudes don't carry an umbrella with them. And I've seen ladies walking in out of Dickey Broadcasting this morning here where we broadcast at Extra 106.3, Battery, Atlanta, Homeview, Atlanta Braves, Truist Park. And I've seen, I think, 3, I've counted 3 and it's early. I mean, obviously we're on the air very early. It's at 6 a.m. So I've already seen 3 women walk in and out with umbrellas, Los.
Most of the staff doesn't roll in until just before 9 o'clock.
That's right.
So I think that's when it's going to give us the more accurate head count as to who is prepared accordingly.
Rob Jenners, our production director, as he walked by, tapped on the window with his umbrella going, "What are you talking about, dudes? Don't carry it."
Sharp dude. But Rob's ever ready, man.
Dude,
Rob's a smart guy.
For sure. One of the most creative, one of the most well-organized, one of the coolest guys that you'll ever meet. Did the Big Shack podcast for years, produced it and co-hosted it with our former co-worker that's now up in Philadelphia, John Kincaid, whom we all adore. Rob is next level. He's just more prepared than most dudes. He doesn't come off as ever behind the 8 ball. He never comes off as running late. He's always on time. He's just always dots the I's, crosses the T's. And it's no surprise that he had an umbrella on a rainy day and wanted me to know it.
But not in a way where he's that guy in the office. Like, that one in the office where you're like, oh, my God, like that guy just frustrates you. No, like Rob is just like salt of the earth,
That's
great
right.
people.
Exactly right, man. He's the coolest dude. So creative, so funny. He's just awesome. But yes, he's prepared.
I feel like some guys who carry umbrellas might wave with 2 hands. Not Rob Jenners.
That's right.
Not at all.
Yeah, he's not the Tim Walls type.
No jazz hands from Rob.
That's exactly right.
Unless he's doing it to make you laugh.
Yeah, exactly. And he's very, very capable of that. Super funny dude. But I just thought it was great that he wanted me to know that, hey, look, some dudes are prepared enough to have the umbrella. Not me, not Los. Jeray, did you say yes or no? I can't remember.
No, I've got a hoodie
Definitely
on.
Not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got a ball. Good enough. That's good enough for me. That works for me.
I wear shorts and a hoodie. I'm not prepared. I'm not trustworthy.
That's right. Smart, yes. Trustworthy and prepared, maybe not.
That's right.
I love it. Morning Xtra and Xtra 106.3. I would love to see the United States pull out of NATO. I don't want to be a part of NATO. I remember when we were in the Navy, or when I was in the Navy, and we were under the command of NATO, it never felt right. You'd be doing war games or whatever, and we would be under the command of a NATO leader. And I never liked it. I never liked the way it sounded. I never liked the way it felt. It just wasn't good. It didn't fit for me. And we would sit around and talk about it like, why in the world are we using our warship and our taxpayer dollars to listen to the orders of somebody that represents mainly Europe? No, thank you. I don't want any part of that. And now when you know, Los, that these people are warmongers like nobody else, it is past time, if you ask me, to get us out of NATO.
If you go back into the app and you go back and listen to our segment with Neil Bortz, we talked about the drone strikes that had occurred on Russian territory from the Ukrainians, and we said it was highly impressive. At the same time, as I said, like tariffs, I'm in a wait-and-see approach. I think that as you now see some of the retaliatory strikes from the Russians, like one of the vehicles that they ended up hitting a couple days ago included a basically British Secret Service. Like that's who was part of what was planning this. It seems like there is so much a part of NATO that wants an out-and-out war with the Russians.
That's right.
That they're looking to, and what they're looking to do is, let's see if we can get this war going, and then we'll call on the Americans to fix it.
That's what they always do, right? They never spend enough money on their military. They were supposed to spend 2.5% under the last agreement with Donald Trump. They've not done that. They spend it on social programs across the continent because they know we've always come to their aid. We've always come to their rescue. And now, Los, we don't even have that much in common with them anymore. They don't believe in freedom of speech. They lock people up for memes on the internet. I don't want to defend that.
No, we are, as of now, when it comes to Western civilization values, it used to be Europe and us. At this point, it's almost getting down to where it's just us. Now, some people across Europe, a lot of their voters are complaining about it. Sure. They're talking about, wanting to bring in new parties and have new leadership. But if your leadership is hell-bent on 2 things, illegal immigration and a war with Russia, those are 2 things we don't want any part of.
That's right. And the Dutch just collapsed their government because of that. The person, the one conservative that they've been trying to keep out of office, he finally collapsed the whatever they call it, the unity government. The Polish are the same way. You're seeing people, the Italians, with Giorgia Meloni, they are all saying we want to get back to the things that that we started in this continent. You know, the fact that freedom of speech is a real thing, human rights are a real thing, and by and large, the ruling class of Europe is just like the ruling class, or at least up until 4 months ago, the ruling class in America, where they did not care what you want. They're going to do whatever they want to with your country. They're going to do whatever they want to with your rights, take them away, diminish them in any way possible, and people are sick of it. And then to the NATO point, they keep drawing a red line. Right, they keep pushing Putin to push the red line.
If you do this or he does that, then we're going to go all out.
Knowing that they can't and knowing that the Americans will have to. I don't want my almost 21-year-old son to end up on the front lines in Ukraine, a country that I do not support to begin with, fighting against the Russians, who I think are equally as bad. I don't want any part of it.
This part jumped out to me when we were talking about the Natalie Winters article from thetimes.com. And one of the things that was pointed out in that article is that this modern group of Republicans or Republican staffers, whatever you want to say about them, that are working in D.C., they say overwhelmingly they're isolationist. They don't want to be involved in forever wars.
Right.
They don't want to be involved in being the world's policeman. They want to basically take care of home. And yeah, if something's warranted and justified, we can look into it. We can get involved in it. But we're no longer blindly just going around nation building. That's been a mistake. That is one of the iconic moments of September 11th, is that when we went into these different places and thought, we'll fix it all, we couldn't.
No.
Okay?
That's
so
right.
like that's why so much of everything that's going on with Ukraine and Russia, get to the peace table, figure something out. Otherwise, have the Russians just destroy the Ukrainians, because the way this is shaping up, it's going to drag us into a major conflict.
You're exactly right. World War III. And there's a bit of me that believes that all of these NATO countries, they don't like what America stands for. As I said, they don't have that much in common with us anymore. The Chinese hate the United States of America, would love for the fall of the United States of America. They pray for it. They work for it. I mean, you have people smuggling in, fungus, agro-terrorism, as it's
Yes.
called. You have police stations, secret police stations set up across the country. They are our biggest enemy in the world, and they would love to see the United States drug into this war with Ukraine and Russia, even at a bigger rate than we're already sending billions of dollars of equipment. They would love to reduce us, because if they need to attack, they need to make something happen against the United States. If our hands are tied in Ukraine and Russia, or even Iran, but don't forget Iran, because that's boiling up too. They would love for us to be able to not be able to defend ourselves. That's the goal.
Well, it's neutering our power.
That's right. That's a great way of putting it.
Now, part of us, and I think I'm part of this when I say I'm an aggressive nationalist, I don't want to be involved in this stuff. Now, do I want to have the power? Do I believe that part of the big, beautiful bill is there's $1 trillion from military spending? Because, yes, we can get involved in this stuff, and yes, we can dominate you. But our job is, let's go to our corner and take care of our corner.
That's right. That's
and stop it and stop being involved around the world.
And that's, I think, what Donald Trump wants. I think that's what most Americans want. But then when you hear NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, we're more powerful than the Roman Empire, the Neapolitan Empire. We're the most powerful in world history. It's an odd thing to say. Why would you? What is it that you were saying in your speech that would lead you to say something like that? What would be the necessity of bringing that statement up? Unless there's something that you're trying to bang your chest to say, you better not do what we don't want you to do, or we're going to go to war, and we've got the United States' weapons and their money to do it, because we can't afford it, but they can.
Well, we'll just put it on their backs. They pay for everything anyway.
That's what they always do.
It's what they always do. It'll be fine.
I do believe that NATO, because NATO's been so vocal. They've been so vocal about Russia's going to march on Europe.
Oh, yeah. They'll go into Poland next, and then what will you do?
And then they're going to take over all of Europe. They're going to be, problem. And I always say, if the intel was there if that was the truth, the intel was there, they would share it immediately. It would be all over CNN and Fox News and MSNBC. It would be everywhere, because they want to rally people around this cause. It's not. They know it's not. That's why they can't use it. But yet, they want us involved in this, and I just a full hard pass for me, man.
I'm right there with you. I think there's a handful of times where you and I might be a little bit divergent from one another when it comes to foreign policy.
Sure.
Yeah, and again, I get it as a man who served in the U.S. Navy for 4 years. Like, you've seen how this stuff plays out. As much as I am that guy who is skeptical about everything, you have that experience of going, yeah, we tried that. That doesn't work there. And it didn't work here, and it didn't work here, and it didn't work here either.
So next thing that will drive you crazy this morning is that the Boulder man, the one that tried to set Jewish people on fire, or physically did set Jewish people on fire, we want them out of here. They got to go. And now there's a judge that has stopped the family from being deported.
It's so crazy.
It's freaking crazy. Listen to this.
White House almost gloating a victory lap. A number of tweets last night about about this suspect's family, rushing them out. And I was told by a White House advisor late yesterday that this is sort of the plan here. Is that we know from covering Donald Trump for a long time, his reflex is always to come back to immigration. He believes that's a signature issue. He believes that's what got him elected, and that Americans want to see things like this. Now, in this case, obviously, we don't know the family's involvement. The suspect is accused of a heinous crime. There are certainly plenty of Americans who would be glad to see him go, but might have questions about the family. But they're leaning into this sort of in-your-face imagery that didn't necessarily work per polling earlier this term with this deportations to the El Salvador prison and the like. But they're doubling down on that sort of public image now.
Yeah, they said the MSNBC wants you to believe that the polling was bad for the quote-unquote Maryland man. And I got to tell you, I disagree with them fully. I think the American people were sick and tired of that dude being called the Maryland man, knowing that two judges, as a matter of fact, had said that he was a gang member and couldn't be deported because his rival gang was going to kill him. Where do they get off telling me that the polling is bad for that, and that's why the Trump administration better relax on deporting the family of a dude setting people on fire? None of that adds up. It's all crazy talk.
I guess I never expected that, given all the things that happened to American citizens after January of 2021, where they were in gulags, they were housed like animals, basically they are domestic terrorists. And so this is what we're going to do. All right, so what happens when you then have an actual real life terrorist who goes and attacks a parade, who goes and attacks a protest, and not only that, tries to light them all on fire? A judge basically reaches out and makes sure that, you can't deport them.
Yeah, and that's infuriating to the American people, because it's taking the power away from the president to do exactly what he was elected to do, what he campaigned on, and what he was elected to do. That is so frustrating for people. But for MSNBC to pretend that the American people weren't behind the deportation of the El Salvadorian gang member, the Maryland man, as they would love to call him, that's an outright lie, and they know it's a lie. They don't care, though. They're going to continue to lie to your face to try to persuade you in some way to think, no, we don't need to deport these people. What I would say is with my own kid, have I had influence, Los, on my own kid with him coming up? If I'm a radical, a terrorist, willing to set somebody on fire in the middle of broad daylight, do you think my kid is influenced by that?
Yeah, probably so.
I'm guessing so.
They probably hear stuff in the home.
Yeah. So, yes, it's probably best that they go. I don't care that the kid wanted to be a doctor. Let them be a doctor wherever they're from.
Head on back.
That's right. It's so easy.
You're more than welcome. Now, if you would like to come back here, you can apply. Go for it. Totally welcome to do so. But this entire scenario, and I saw some of the numbers on this, if we wanted to get this under control, if we wanted to undo the damage of the Biden administration, we have to send out 8,000 people a day. And right now, we're doing about 150.
Yeah. Like 150?
Like 150.
It'll take 500 years.
And by the way, you still have than activist judges making sure that if the case is high profile enough, they'll rule so that you now have to jump through some additional hoops before you can get some people that are not supposed to be here out of here.
This is not an original idea or an original thought, but it is a really good, smart idea and a smart thought. And I see it blow up on X, formerly known as Twitter. I guess we can stop saying that, but on X. And it is, if you didn't have due process coming in, if the American people didn't have due process coming in, you don't need it on the way out either. Let's just re-level the playing field.
Yep.
You were brought here under false pretenses. You were brought here illegally, even though it was by a sitting president. He knew what he was doing was wrong. Or if he didn't, the board of directors did, the people pulling the strings did, and they knew that if they got them here, it would take 500 years to get them out.
They altered policy and violated law. Yeah, that's what it really comes down to. We had all the laws on the books to take care of this stuff. Yeah. It was just the policy to ignore those laws and to change policy. It would take, as I was saying, 8,000 a day. We're nowhere near it. We're about 150. And so when you do get these stories where clearly if a guy was willing to try and light people on fire and it turns out, well, the rest of their family's here illegally. Wait a minute. So he went after jihad and his family was aware, but they didn't tell anybody. Y'all are the first to go.
That's right. That's exactly right, man. Goodness gracious. And Donald Trump is no longer the president, I would like to point out. Right now, it's Gordon Gallagher. He's the Biden-appointed judge that just blocked the Trump administration from deporting Mohammed Solomon's family, the man that attack those protesters and set them on fire.
They're all here illegally.
He is the president because he has the authority to say yes or no to those people being deported. Donald Trump doesn't have that authority. And I can't wait to ask Mike Collins. Representative Mike Collins joins us next. I can't wait to ask him about this because they have to be, in the House of Representatives, they have to be considering a way to get this under control. It can't continue like this. And the Trump administration, the president, the duly elected president, be handcuffed. So we'll ask Mike about it next. Here on Extra 106.3, 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com.
Listen to the Morning Extra, The Kimmer Show, Neil Bortz, and all your favorite Extra 106.3 personalities whenever you want with the all-new Extra app. It's anytime show replays, all your favorite podcasts, and the latest political news from across Georgia. Download the Extra 106.3 app now for Apple or Android.
Now, I can ask you the question, but only you can answer it. The rain coming in, and it's going to be here for 10 days. Is your roof ready to handle all the water that it will be protecting your family from? I can't answer the question, but you know the answer. You know for sure the answer. Is there a place in your roof that has been leaking, and will it be worse than ever before because of the amount of rain that's coming in? Southern Exteriors offers free inspections, expert repair, installed, backed by experience. Right now, 10% off any job, no matter how big the job, or 12 months, 0% financing. You can get the job done and pay as you go. But yeah, if it's a big job that you need to get done, you have an opportunity to space it out. 0% financing for 12 months. Where else are you getting that? 0% financing? Not many places. I know the team at Southern, they're not pushy. They take pride in what they do. They take care of the people that entrust them with their home. That's who you want on your side when the rain starts coming down, and maybe it's already coming down where you are. Think about calling Southern Exteriors today at 877-9Southern or southernexteriors.co.
June is in full swing, and so is summer at Truist Park. The Braves face the Colorado Rockies for a weekend series June 13th through the 15th. And on Sunday, June 15th, the first 3,000 kids through the gates will receive a Braves teddy bear, paying homage to Snit Bear, commonly featured in the dugout.
Baldwin cranks one, flying back and way gone.
And then division rivals the New York Mets come to Truist Park June 17th through the 19th for their first matchup at Truist Park this season. The series includes back-to-back giveaways you don't want to miss. First up is the Spencer Strider and his dog Kipnis bobblehead, presented by Boehringer Ingelheim on June 17th, followed by the much-anticipated Usher bobblehead on June 18th. Fans can look forward to a live DJ playing Usher's greatest hits, plus an Usher-themed food truck in the Battery Atlanta before the game. Visit Braves.com/summer to find all of the fun and to purchase your tickets. Atlanta Braves baseball. We are Braves country.
Calling all contractors. Stovall & Company Wholesale Landscape Supply is here for you.
We've been family owned and operated for more than 75 years, and we just opened our 11th location in Canton, Georgia.
We are proud to provide all your wholesale irrigation, nursery, and landscape supply needs.
We are partnered with Keystone Hardscape to offer a wide variety of products to enhance any outdoor living space.
Here at Stovall, we have it all. Check us out at StovallInc.com or visit any of our convenient locations throughout North Georgia.
Neil Borch here. Maybe you've already taken the steps to improve your health, maybe save your life. You're using a CPAP for your sleep apnea. I've been using one for well over 20 years. So right now, I'm here to tell you about a source for CPAPs and CPAP supplies here in the Atlanta area. CPAPs, etc. They're in Alpharetta. They have whatever you need. Roddy and Sharon are your CPAP experts, and they'll ship nationwide. More information, CPAPs.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Got a to-do list a mile long? No problem. We've got the ultimate solution, our Handyman for a Day program. Here's how it works. You get a skilled handyman dedicated to knocking out your honey-do list. Paint touch-ups, drywall repairs, door adjustments, and much more, all done in one day. You want to jump into spring and not worry about your home? Call us now before the rush for your Handyman for a Day, and call us at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. One call, one handyman, one day. The Trusted Toolbox.
Hey, it's Front Office Lowe's here to tell you about a new company that is changing the way people buy their next pre-owned car or truck. At The Honest Car Guy, they offer a completely transparent way to purchase a vehicle. You pay what he pays, plus a small honest fee. You can choose any make or model. He will search the country for the best deal out there. He'll handle the paperwork, your trade-in, shipping, and even give you the bill of sale. Friends, I've done the research, and this is a buying process that you can trust. Call 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1, or visit online at honestcarguy.com.
Securing America.
Meeting recruiting goals has been a problem for the U.S. Army recently, but not this year. Army leaders stated during an expo in Washington, D.C. Monday, this year's goals have already been met. Army Chief of Staff General Randy George.
We'll meet our mission this week. Close 61,000 for our mission, and then continue. These are some of the best recruiting months that we have ahead of us.
General George is also impressed with the recruits' level of technical expertise.
You give them something, and they'll tell you if it works, if it doesn't, what needs to be adjusted to make it better.
Army Secretary Dan Driscoll says retention goals have also already been met, just halfway through the calendar year.
They're deciding, do they spend their lives with you? Do they bet their life on you?
The Army has not met its recruiting goals this early in a year since 2014. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Thursday, June 5th. The Cobb Planning Commission approved a proposal for a $100 million apartment development on Cobb Parkway just south of Cumberland Mall. The Homewood Suites Hotel by Hilton will be torn down to make way for the development. Homeland Security raided a Marietta nail salon earlier this week. Immigration agents arrested 12 illegal aliens working at Lux Nail Salon on Chastain Meadows Parkway. The agency says the business owners will face consequences, but no official charges yet. And the Georgia Forestry Commission is warning Georgia landowners about a surge in southern pine beetles. They say early monitoring has indicated an especially high level of beetle activity this year. An infestation of the bugs can cause serious damage and destroy trees quickly. Today's weather partly cloudy with a possibility of isolated storms. Temperatures will reach the mid-80s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com is their website. They're doing their Christmas in July. That means they're giving $10 from every maintenance agreement that you sign up for, whether home or business. As many people that sign up for them, $10 of those will go to Skyland Trail, helping folks who are struggling with mental health issues and getting them expert and evidence-based help that they can use. 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com is the website. About 2 minutes away from Representative Mike Collins from Georgia's 10th district, joining us here on the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. So many things to talk about him, about Los. I mean, we'll probably try to pin him down of whether he's going to run for Senate or not.
Sure.
He's talked about that. But I really want to ask him about the conversation that we just had and the fact that who is the president? If Donald Trump can't make the decision, is it Gordon Gallagher that's actually the president of the United States? And what does he plan to do to fix it?
We're in such a wild time because I had something I wanted to ask him about, and it was based off of the Nate Silver information that we had on the show 2 days ago. Because Mike Collins, joked around about it on X. He was talking about he who controls Zoloft controls the election.
Yeah,
recognizing that your opponents are, if 40% of them have some sort of mental illness, then surprise, surprise, look who's representing you and what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, you're only playing into your constituency.
That's exactly right. And the people that struggle with this, I'm not trying to diminish it at all. I'm just trying to say I don't want to take ideas. I'm not saying they can't have any good ideas, but when it comes to politics, they're so emotional about it, and then you have a mental health disorder that is keeping you from thinking clearly. I'm not sure.
You're erratic.
I'm not sure. Neurotic even. I'm not sure that that's who I want to take ideas from when it comes to governing the United States with an even keel, because that emotion is going to be up and down and left and right, and there's nothing good coming of it.
I mean, you got Big Beautiful Bill, which I think it's one of the notes that I saw yesterday, and it was interesting to read into, and I wanted to ask him about it because of the scenario by which that they were able to push it through the House. One of the things that was talked about was if you had tried to include DOJ cuts, that might have set off the alarms for budget reconciliation. And so those have to be handled outside of what that bill was. That's the way I've read it. And so be curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, no. So hopefully in the next minute or two, we'll get Mike Collins. Otherwise, rain in the forecast for is what seems like 10 days.
Not here, brother. Not sunny Forsyth County.
Sunny north Forsyth.
Everything looks great over here.
Yeah. Mike Collins joining us on the Morning Extra on Extra 106, representing Georgia's 10th district. Mike, how are you, sir?
Man, just running.
But I know that. Well, then there's so many places to start because I feel like the entirety of the federal government is running. Some of them in the wrong direction, but I've been saying this on the show all morning, and I want to get your take on it. The Gordon Gallagher, the judge out in Colorado that made the decision that the Trump administration can't deport the family of the crazy man that set people on fire in Boulder. Is he the actual president? Should we change like the whitehouse.gov and put Gordon's picture up there in place of Donald Trump because it feels like that he's making the decisions and those like him are making all the decisions on behalf of Donald Trump?
No, you're hitting the nail on the head, and it seems like we just need to rotate it depending on which judge is making a decision for the day. Maybe they're president for the day. There's only one president of the United States. The American people voted overwhelmingly for President Trump. I trust all of his decisions. I trust his agency's decisions, and we need to stand behind that, and we're going to up here. I can tell you that.
Representative Mike Collins is our guest on the Morning Extra, and a story that we had 2 days ago, and it was funny to see that you had a post on it when it came to X. We had that Nate Silver story about the amount of mental illness that shows up, over on the opposite side of the aisle. That you have as many as 50% of liberal women who have a mental illness, as many as 40% of Democrats. I love your post of, as you said, he who controls Zoloft controls the election. That is genius, sir.
Yeah, well, sometimes humor's good up here, and obviously they need it.
But that's the thing that we've discussed on this show, Mike, is the fact that maybe there is a Democrat with some good ideas. I've yet to see that, but maybe there is. And if you have people that are struggling with mental health issues, what makes anybody think that they would make good legislators or they would bring up good policy or even vote for good people that have good ideas and good ideas for policy? That's the thing. We've documented it so many times, and we knew that these people have struggled with mental illness. There's no question about it. You could just see the behavior. But now we have hard data to back it up.
You not only have that hard data to back that up, but you also have hard data to back up the results of what they've been doing up here during the Biden administration. Just take that Inflation Reduction Act mess and Green New Deal. all that the spending that just went on like it was no tomorrow. And so you see the results of what the Democrats do. If Zoloft is part of their decision making, then thank the good Lord that we've gotten control of this House and the Senate.
Representative Mike Collins is our guest on the Morning Extra, and I want to ask you about the big, beautiful bill, because they're obviously, depending on which side of the aisle is what you're getting the speak that comes around on it. But one of the things that I've seen pointed out is that long term, if you were to take what the Congressional Budget Office is saying and go, that is not how this bill is being interpreted, that there are cuts involved. What exactly are we looking at as far as when we're looking like a 10-year span of government spending?
Here's the problem. I mean, just from the get-go, CBO has consistently been wrong, period. The last time we did the tax cuts, they said it was going to cost us more, and it actually brought in $1.4 trillion more than the opposite of what they said. CBO also said that the Inflation Reduction Act was going to be a boon and bring in, I think, $300 billion. It actually cost $600 billion. So if CBO is wrong consistently, and they're wrong on their numbers here, and you can't trust them, why are we using them?
Yeah, right. No doubt about it.
That's the first premise. We have spending cuts in here, and I don't like the fact that they go out over 10 years, but that's the only way you can do a budget reconciliation. You have to do it over a 10-year period. But I'm telling you, I know I was in the private sector during the Trump administration. Those Trump tax policies are going to make this place hum like a sewing machine. And you put on top of that the fact that Congress is different this time around. You've got over 70% of us up here that are America First representatives. The last time around, they were spending as much money as they were taking in, spending more. And that's why your deficit continued to grow. This time around, you've got a Congress that is focused on cutting everywhere we can. You cut you cut taxes, you cut regulations, you onshore, you bring these companies back to the United States. You set it up where you get more taxpayers and more revenue. You cut spending and you grow your way out of this thing.
Representative
Mike,
Mike.
not that hard.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Finish your thought. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's just business 101.
Yes, sir.
You've got spending and you've got revenue, and you set it up to where you can increase your revenue, and you do that by lowering taxes and making it more advantageous for people to work and to get off of Medicaid, get off of Social Security, get back into the workforce, and that decreases it on that side of the equation as well, on the mandatory side.
Representative Mike Collins of Georgia's 10th District joining us on the Morning Extra Tug and Los until 10. How do we get that message out? Because, look I'm as concerned, and we've talked to you over the years about the concern we have about deficit spending. How do we get the message out, or what do we do to let people know what's really going to happen, or what you believe is really going to happen, what we hope is going to happen with this bill, especially when people like Elon Musk, who we love, I mean, he's been such a great help, is really pushing in the opposite direction.
He has, and that's a great example. I caution people, please don't fall into the CBO trap. CBO is not our friend.
Okay.
They're liberal. They're gonna skew the numbers to set it up to where Republicans, the numbers are not right. But I don't mind people questioning. I think that's good. I think it's exciting that people are involved and are asking and are looking. That's a good thing. But the proof will be in the pudding. We'll get these things passed, and when President Trump signs this legislation on July the 4th, you're going to see things automatically start to happen. You're already seeing it in fuel prices. Just the fact that the rumor is that we're going to get back to energy independence, and you're already seeing fuel come down. Inflation is not there. We need the feds to cut the interest rates. I'm in the trucking business, and I see what trucking's doing right now, and we need the feds to get on board. It's slowing down big time. People are waiting. They want these tax cuts passed. They want that one big beautiful bill passed and put into place, and they're going to sit still until they do that.
Representative Mike Collins is our guest, and I want to drill down on exactly what you just brought up, sir, because I do believe that if we have tax certainty over the next 10 years, that's going to spur the economy in a way that we're going to see just a boom to it. But at the same time, for small business owners and for those people that are looking to purchase homes, those interest rates, how are we going to see the Fed? Because it to me, and I want to get your opinion on it, it feels largely political that it's not moving given where the inflation is right now.
Sure it is. You can tell it's political. I think the political winds are changing. I think those people, the Fed, see the writing on the wall. And that gets back to what we were just talking about, people questioning and American people being involved. I often say it up here. There's nothing that ever happens in this town until the American people get involved and demand it. They're watching, they're seeing, and it's not going to take long. Surely the feds are going to wake up and say, hey, the rest of the country knows what we should have already done. And we'll start cutting these rates. And once you do that, couple that, man, I'm telling you, Tug, this thing is going to go. It's going to be an exciting few years coming up.
I think so too, and I'll be honest. There's so much about Washington D.C. that I'm kind of learning on the fly. There's things that I've always believed, but the more I pay attention to it, sometimes I'm encouraged, rarely, but sometimes more often than not I'm discouraged. The one thing that I do believe with every fiber in me, that Donald Trump wants to do the right thing for America. I've never doubted that. Now, do I think he's perfect? No. Do I worship at the altar of Trump? No. But do I think he is an American president that is working hard for the American people? No one's ever convinced me otherwise. So I'm willing to listen to him. I'm willing to say, okay, I trust you on this. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I trust that you believe that this is the best way forward.
Amen. And I think, I'm the same way. I think he gets up every day and thinks about the middle class and how he can make sure that the middle class has got opportunities to advance. But the other part of this equation up here now, we have got to get ourselves back to regular order. We have got to start. We're already working on appropriations. Appropriations is in action right now to get our approps out. We have got to get away from just doing omnibus bills. That's one of the big reasons that's gotten us into the situation that we're in, because we've never held these agencies accountable. We just throw money at them, and that just emboldens them to do whatever they want to, because nobody's going to question them and nobody's going to call them on the carpet. And if we start taking back the purse strings and actually saying, no, we're not going to fund this or fund that, then get back to passing a approach bill and get this place under control and run it like a business, it's going to turn around. Thank the good Lord that right now we do have Doge. The president is putting in rescissions, and as a matter of fact, we're taking those up. To get money off the books that these federal agencies are wasting. But we've got to get back to doing our job so that he doesn't have to do that. These executive orders that President Trump's put in, we're hammering on those. There's a number of them going through committees right now for markup. So there is a lot of moving parts at the same time. I never thought I would say that out of Washington, D.C. Man, this place moves at a snail's pace, and it seems like you can only do one thing at a time. But right now, this Congress, the House side, we're humming along on several different fronts. Now, everything that goes regular order, the problem's going to be over in the Senate.
Yeah.
It's the same as the 118th Congress. Of course, the Senate was held by Schumer. But, regular order requires 60 senators over there. Mm-hmm. We got 2 in Georgia that need to be replaced.
And I believe that's definitely coming along those lines. Final question from me as we're talking with Representative Mike Collins. Considering the Democrats have a 19% approval rating, especially those that are in the House and in the Senate, and so many of the issues that the Republicans are talking about are 80-20 issues, how has it been so far, in your time in Washington, where you are on the side of 80% on so many of these issues where the Republicans can just talk to Americans and 80% of them agree with what they're doing?
Yeah, well, and I think we're talking with Americans. I think we're explaining what we're doing, what we see, and the other thing is, people have felt They felt their paychecks go backwards. They knew what it was like to win under the Trump administration. Everybody was doing better. I'd pull into my parking lot on a Monday morning. We look like a car dealership, multiple car dealerships, with people buying new vehicles. And it was exciting. When my people, when the people I work with are making money, that means I'm making money.
That's right. So,
and once you went into the Biden administration and the inflation hit, your money wasn't going near as far. It's been cut like 50% of what it was worth. They know that. And they're scratching their heads, saying, "Lord, help! How do we get back to what we had?" And that's where they're at. And the other thing is, we've got to be up front, and we've got to keep telling the American people what we're doing.
Yeah, Carlos gave you the last question for him. Last one for me. Decisions on Senate, since you brought up the Senate and the two senators that do not represent the people that listen to this radio station anyway, or work on the show. What's your idea? Have you already decided? Yes, I'm going to do it. Is there any announcement you want to make? Or is there anything that you've come to a conclusion on?
We're probably like a lot of people. We're sitting here. We're going to watch this thing. We're going to see what's going to go on. And but at the end of the day, I've got an unbelievable job right now. It is an honor. I know we don't have, but what'd you say? 19% approval, right?
19% approval on the Democrat side.
Okay. But it is an honor to be up here. It's a privilege to be up here. There's not that many people that have been representative on the House side either. And that's where I everybody says they're focused there. Now, we've got so many things going. We're going to continue down the path we are. We'll watch and see what happens throughout every race. And where we're needed and where we're called, then we'll go.
There you go.
There we go. All right, I'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely. we just know that we have to get the two senators in Georgia straightened out, because what we have right now is failure and failing policy and do nothing, and we got to change that.
Yeah, well, the good people of Georgia made a bunch of phone calls the day before that Lake and Raleigh vote, and I appreciate it.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, congratulations on that, too. Thank you for bringing that. Yeah. Representative Collins, thank you so much. We hope you have the best day ever, man. Thank you for representing Georgia so proudly.
Thank you. Good talking to you.
Yes, sir. Always welcome, Mike Collins.
So that wasn't a denial. We might see somebody throw their hat in the ring here, which, again, we on our side, we have a lot of people that we interact with somewhat regularly. They reach out to this radio station. We've got a chance to talk to them on air, off air. They're the kind of people that you would want representing you in the Senate.
No doubt about it. Buddy Carter, I saw last night during the Braves game, his first ad for running for Senate. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, seen those too.
Yeah, me too, man. It was good to see. We'll see if we get some of those from Mike Collins sooner rather than later. When we continue, Jim Acosta wants the people at Paramount to sit on their hands. Do not get out the wallet. Do not pay what you've been ordered to pay. But why? Next on Extra.
The Morning Xtra on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3 FM.
Good morning. It's Front Office Los. Let's talk about True Prep, Atlanta's preparedness superstore. Now, okay, that's one of the coolest things about True Prep. If you've ever made over the trip to Cobb Parkway in Marietta and walked into the store, you're going to notice, wow, they got a ton of stuff, okay? Now, that's one, like I said, is one of the cool things. You can always go online and say, all right, let me go over to some store and let me take a look at what they got. Isn't it really cool that one of the best stores in the country when it comes to preparedness is right in your backyard? That is what True Prep has. They are the go-to location when it comes to security and preparedness. It's also a hot spot for incredible deals that they have and incredible savings that they have. So you can always go to trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. They have a new deals page where you can discover what is hot and what is out there. Clearance items, firearm sales, prepping gear. Then you can also check, they have a used and consignment page for top quality guns and gear at unbeatable prices. And here's another thing. Both pages, they update throughout the day. So go check it out. Go see what's hot. Go see what's available. And then you can decide to make a purchase from there. True Prep, again, like I said, when it comes to all their stuff, when it comes to personal security, when it comes to preparedness, they are one of the best in the country, and they are right in your backyard. Check them out at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Thursday, June 5th. The Atlanta Braves look to avoid a sweep today at the hands of the Arizona Diamondbacks at Truist Park after a 2-1 loss last night. This afternoon, you'll have Grant Holmes on the mound for the Braves. Brandon Font makes a start for the Snakes. First pitch is set for 12:15. The Edmonton Oilers struck first in the Stanley Cup Finals as they beat the visiting Florida Panthers last night 4-3 in overtime. Game 2 is set for tomorrow night. And the NBA Finals begin tonight, starting in Oklahoma City as the Thunder host the Indiana Pacers. OKC is nearly a 10-point favorite for this matchup tonight. That tip-off is set for 8:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Yellow Jacket fans, don't miss your chance to lock in your seat for the 2025 football season today. Next year's home slate is highlighted by the renewal of our rivalry with Clemson, as well as ACC matchup versus Pitt, Syracuse, and Virginia Tech. Into the end zone! Touchdown! Haynes King! All hail the King! Support head coach Brent Key and the Jackets on game day by visiting RamblingWreck.com/tickets to get your season tickets today. Sting 'em.
Hey, this is Matt from East Cobb. We basically bought our house from our in-laws. It was my wife's childhood home. One of the issues that we've had when we first moved in was our dog in our backyard. It was extremely shaded, could never grow grass back there. We resodded it twice. So ATL Turf Co. did an amazing job with our backyard transformation. They basically created a miniature golf hole. We have a miniature fairway. We also have a miniature little putting green. Consists of about 4 holes, total about 40 yards, so you can definitely work on your short game and your putting. After that transformation that ATL Turf Co. did for us, my father-in-law came and saw his house the way it looked after the fact of we had a putting green and a miniature golf course. Sure enough, he did the same thing with ATL Turf Co. He has a beautiful backyard, wonderful stonework, drainage, and a beautiful practice area for chipping and putting. Check him out online at atlturfco.com.
There are nut jobs on the road. Who knows where they learn to drive? If one of them hits you, don't take care of it on your own. Call my friend David Van Sant, 855-GA-INJURY. Van Sant Law, one of Georgia's top-rated personal injury lawyers and car accident firms. Time is of the essence. Don't waste any. The longer you wait to get the right lawyer, the longer it takes to get the compensation you deserve. Call Van Sant Law today. The number is 855-GA-INJURY. VanSantLaw.com.
Surveys reveal that peace of mind is a paramount concern for people approaching retirement. So, Coach Pete, what helps bring that peace of mind?
That sound means financial fill-up. That means every single year in retirement, you get a new check delivered to your checking account. And if you pass away, your spouse continues to get that check. That's where the value starts really hitting, because a lot of people pass away and they leave their spouse with nothing but bills. And then the spouse has to change zip codes in a bad way, like move out of this neighborhood, move over there to that apartment. So the secret of life is get on that green brick road and make sure that you have that financial fill-up strategy, which will deliver a check to you regardless of what happens in the stock market. This is not stock market money. This is safe money. Now, we like the stock market, but we like the stock market only after we have our safe money and our retirement income number planned out.
A comprehensive review, no cost, no obligation, with Coach Pete's local trusted advisor, Craig Chandler of Chandler Wealth Management. 800-419-6164. 800-419-6164. 800-419-6164.
Your favorite Extra shows are streaming live video from the studio on Extra 106.3's YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Extra YouTube channel and get the Morning Extra and the Kimmer Show in live digital video.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra. Poor Jim Acosta is so broken that he's asking Paramount not to pay Trump what they've been ordered to pay him. Essentially break the law because Trump. That's why. This is such a sad display. I want you to hear him in his own words.
But, I mean, now that Jim Acosta doesn't have his regular access to Trump, what is he going to do with his whole life?
Well, because Trump. He's just going to keep hollering about Trump. He's going to get on social media. He's going to get on whatever platform he can, anybody that'll listen to him, and say, I hate Trump. I mean, it's over and over again. He's a broken record. He's got nothing else to say, and now he's asking Paramount, please, 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 don't pay Trump.
So please, it's time to end the shakedown. It's time to end the intimidation racket. We're not going to be ruled over by a bunch of mob bosses in this country. It's time for it to stop. And so I ask for the folks there who are watching this, do not back down. Call these people and say, do not pay this money. Do not pay off Trump. If you pay off Trump, there should be consequences. Cancel your Paramount Plus subscription. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sure whatever the Kevin Costner show is, Yellowstone's a great show. Cancel it. Cancel your subscriptions.
What in the world? That is Trump derangement syndrome on display. That's like with a spotlight on it. Like he's up there like the WB frog, the little frog that used to be on Bugs Bunny. Hello, my honey. Hello, my dog. That's what
WWWB.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's what that reminds me of. Cancel your service, Los. Cancel your Paramount. I don't care. Tell them not to pay Trump. Whatever they do, don't pay Trump.
It's so wild that they ask us to respect court's decisions, but when the court makes a decision that's going to require them to pay up on Donald Trump, he's like, now you have to fight.
Yeah, that's right.
Now you have to get rid of your subscriptions. All right, here's a fundamental difference between us and them always, every single time. They always try and end money to anything that they don't agree with.
That's right.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
We just choose not to buy it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Which I don't have a subscription. I don't have a subscription to Paramount Plus, even if I wanted to cancel it. I don't have one to begin with. So what are you talking about? Like you just I don't know how many people subscribe to Paramount Plus, but I bet the number's not real big to begin with. So who are you talking to? Probably the 19% of people that agree with the Democrat Party.
And maybe you'll get a handful that will actually do it, or they're just going to do what they do. They're going to keep it moving. This is the part that's going to be frustrating for Jim Acosta. There was a time when people listened to him.
Oh my God!
And he was, hey, he's the responsible resistance. He's fighting against Donald Trump. What people have found out, especially after this whole Biden era and all the dementia and the cancer and the lies and the auto pen and everything else, their side is completely full of it. And once they've been lied to, you've now seen where they've left all of that programming in droves. Jim Acosta doesn't matter anymore. He never mattered if there was not a Donald Trump. Jim Acosta would be working serving you fries.
But that dude has such an ego that he believes that him getting on social media is going to convince somebody to do something. Especially the suits at Paramount when he's begging them not to pay Donald Trump. It's court ordered. What do you mean? There's repercussions for not doing that. I mean, aren't you in favor of following the law? Aren't you in favor of following the court decisions? I bet you are in the Boulder case where they're saying don't deport the dude's family. I even asked Mike Collins about it. Is Judge Graham, is he actually the president? Who do you want us to follow, Jim Acosta? He can't even make up his mind. He wants you to do it here, but not over there.
All right, you want to have the odd flex, Tug?
Yeah, sure.
You want to have that moment?
Yeah.
So we are in part employed by the Dickey family that does own a lion's share of Cumulus, obviously one of the biggest broadcast companies in the entirety of the country. That too chooses to pay us in order to do what we do. Jim Acosta doesn't work with anyone.
Yeah. That's right.
Jim Acosta is now an independent journalist. Yeah, because he was so good that everyone around the country went, yeah, we're not paying that guy.
Boy, look at us. We're tough guys.
we're just pointing it out. I'm like, scoreboard, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
All right? Like, Jim Acosta was out there for anybody, and everyone went, yeah, not that dude.
I'm good.
He doesn't deliver you ratings, revenue, numbers, or anything. But what he does do is, hey, don't pay court-ordered settlements.
He looks very sad. He looks very weak. He looks very diminished, and he looks like his ego has been bruised. He looks like this arrogance that he had has been put in check.
He can go cry about it on his Substack.
Yes, that's exactly right. And it will. Look, he cried about it in front of everybody. You're definitely going to cry about it over there. And the 11 people, maybe 12, that go over there and listen to Jim Acosta. Who has ever listened to Jim Acosta and thought, yeah, man, that dude's got it together? Nobody. That's the reason he's in the position
he's busy. He's busy running around doing chats with Don Lemon.
Oh, my God. I got to tell you what has come about this Speaking to American Men, the SAM Project. Who's running it? And the message that they've uncovered will make you laugh out loud next.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3.
It can be amusing when somebody utters a phrase that's so stupefyingly ignorant that you can scarcely believe that they know how to breathe. It's worse than it's a family member. Like the family member that once said to me, well, Republicans just don't want people to have health care. The problem there was this family member actually believed that. Right now, that's focusing on Medicaid, which is a welfare program. Donald Trump wants able-bodied Americans age 19 to 64 without dependent children to actually work to receive Medicaid. Numbers from the American Enterprise Institute. Medicaid recipients age 19 through 64, capable of working, no children, spend an average of 4.2 hours every day just vegging, couch potatoes. That's about 126 hours a month. The Trump Medicaid plan would call for these people to spend 80 of those 126 hours actually working, doing community service, or attending school to get job skills. Democrats think that's just one of the most horrible ideas they've ever heard in their lives. Requiring able-bodied welfare recipients, Medicaid recipients, to actually work. What in the world is this country coming to? People, a lot of people, will do the absolute minimum that they have to do in lines of work in order to survive. So much easier for these Americans to just say, let somebody else pay for it. A job, working, doing volunteer work, going to school, sorry, just not my thing. It will remain that way to eternity if we don't make it become at least one of their things. Neil Bortz, Xtra 106.3.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
Former President Biden says, reacting to the ramped-up investigations into his mental fitness in office. Fox's Peter Ducey's at the White House.
President Biden has never been somebody to weigh in on news of the day in real time. So he must be really bothered by all of this talk here at the Trump White House about the possibility of Biden aides pulling the strings while he declined. So now President Biden's office tells us this. Let me be clear. I made the decisions during my presidency, but the current president, Trump, ordered the DOJ with a new memo last night to investigate if former President Biden's aides abused the power of presidential signatures through the use of an auto pen to conceal Biden's cognitive decline.
Now, President Trump also signed a new travel ban with even more countries than the controversial one in his first term.
Very simply, we cannot have open migration from any country where we cannot safely and reliably vet and screen those who seek to enter the United States.
His order bans travel from 12 countries, restricted from 7 more. Democrats call it cruel and discriminatory. Congressman Daniel Goldman tells CNN it's racist, too.
Keep anyone who's not white out of the country.
Now, the president says he's motivated by Sunday's Boulder, Colorado terror attack carried out by a suspect from Egypt who is here illegally overstaying his visa. Mohammed Salman will appear in court today to face state charges, including attempted murder for setting people on fire during a protest supporting hostages in Gaza.
Black smoke, the smell, the screams, flames around my feet.
Rochelle Halpern at a vigil in Boulder. She managed to get away uninjured, though 15 others were hurt. Israel's recovered the bodies of 2 more hostages in Gaza. Israeli Americans Guy and his wife Yudi were killed in the October 2023 terror attack.
The couple were on an early morning walk near their home when militants rampaged through army bases and farming communities. Hamas now holds 56 hostages.
That's Jonathan Savage. America's listening to
Prescription products require completion of an online consultation with an independent healthcare provider and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for more details and safety information.
Is Cialis Daily really better than Viagra?
If you like spontaneity, the answer is yes. So when the mood strikes, you're ready to go.
I felt like a young man again. My wife is definitely much happier.
When you take it, you're ready to go. Does Cialis Daily last longer than Viagra?
guys are raving that their results last even longer.
My partner thinks that I am a rock star.
Because it is effective, I say I'm on a second honeymoon.
It's literally life-changing.
Does RexMD really work?
Over 85% of guys said not only does it work, they saw results the very first night. And you can get your first month free at freerexmd.com with medication delivered direct to your door. There's no copay, no doctor office visit, and your shipping is always free. Visit freerexmd.com to get your first month free. That's FREEREXMD.com.
Get the Extra 106.3 app.
Yeah, I got your app. I'm so glad Conservative Talk is back on the air.
Tug and Los until 10. We're glad that you're here with us talking about conservative issues on the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. Whether on the app at 106.3 FM 1230 AM or streaming at extra1063.com, 1,000 ways to find out about the things that are going on, the things that matter in America, in the state of Georgia, and the city of Atlanta. Great to have Representative Collins on, which, he's a guy that I have a lot of respect for, built his own company, is a self-made man, and has gone to Washington, D.C. to try to improve things. And it's always good to hear from him and have his perspective, because he's one of the very few up there that I feel like has the best interest of his state and his country at heart. Low State, do you reflect that?
Yeah, I believe so, and I think that's very important. Also, when you talk about things that are going on today, and as much as the things that Mike Collins brings up are very important, I will also tell you that today is the release of the Nintendo Switch 2.
What?
And we have lines out the doors for all these things. So if you just want to know what's going on in the world and you're like, why is everyone talking about some video game system? The Nintendo Switch 2 is out there, and if you can get a hold of one, just know that you can probably sell it. Like, if you get a hold of one, Tug, and you finally want to have, I don't know, somebody trade you for like a late model Corvette, they'll do it.
Oh, wow. Dude, I had no idea.
If you want to build an empire, you do it by obtaining Switches to trade or sell.
I've never even... never had the first one. I've never used or played the very first Nintendo Switch. How long has it been since the first one came out? Because I remember how big it was, and now it doesn't surprise me that
that's 1984.
The Switch?
Oh, no, the Switch? Oh, that's about 10 years
I was just
ago.
like, wow.
It came out in 2017.
2017. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and so, you're 9 years down the road, right? 17? No, that's not right. 8 years down the road. But, And it's no surprise, but this is the first thing that people are lining up for. It's like
it's been a while.
The unveiling of the iPhone,
with other, an Xbox or a PS5, you get a little bit, but Nintendo always gets people going. Nintendo really has that passionate fan base.
It's the best of the best, man.
Stores opened at midnight, and they've still been going where you've got the line out the door, and everyone's trying to get a hold of one. I think if you jump, and we can always look at it this way, I think if you jump on eBay trying to find one, that's when you're going to find out about how in demand this thing is.
Yeah, it's unreal, dude. Do y'all have a Switch in your household?
No. Listen, it's probably ideal for younger players. I like the blood and guts and all that sort of good stuff.
Right. Nintendo don't really do that, do they?
Hey, that's not really their game. They cater to a different audience.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Well, but between Mike Collins and the Nintendo Switch, it's a pretty big day.
That's a hell of a big day, man. Goodness, now if we can get a Braves win in their day game today, that'll be good news. If the rain stays off and
is it a day game? I didn't realize.
Isn't it
12:15
nice.
time? Yeah. By the way, the Nintendo Switch, if you want to try and get one on eBay right now, are going off at about $750.
What are they retail?
That's what I was just kind of curious about.
Trying to figure out.
I
thought $400.
Okay, so geez, a $300 markup. Wow, but people will pay it, man. It's like my brother-in-law. He is big into video games, as is my nephew. Dude, that's their thing. Like, they just enjoy that.
Yeah, and for the parents to play with their kids, Nintendo is very safe for just about anything.
Now, they play them all, but I just... Switch, they've had one since the beginning. They're the ones that'll line up. Like, I'm not waiting in line for nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing I want long enough. I have the line.
Not even burger time?
Maybe no.
Not even George Strait.
Not waiting for nobody. There's nothing I'm waiting in line for. Nothing. I don't have the patience. I don't have. There's nothing that important to me. It's just I wish there was, but there isn't. If the line is too long, I'm out. That's the reason I don't like to go to theme parks. I love roller coasters. But I am not going to wait in line like let's say at Walt Disney World.
Man.
Wait in line an hour and a half for a 2-minute ride. That's not a good use of my time.
I'll tell you, Jerry, this guy, this Tug Coward, is a long way from Dalton, Georgia.
That's not true.
I mean,
I wouldn't have waited then.
He used to be that guy, and now he's like, I don't wait in line. They make sure I get to the park early.
No.
I get the VIP in the park.
No, there's none of that. Ain't nobody giving me VIP anywhere, and I understand why. There's no reason to.
Yeah, why are you winking? Okay, Jerry and I know what's going on here.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see there's no wink here.
Let me
There's
tell
no
you
closing
something.
of eyes.
When we went to the last day game, Tug Coward walked me straight through the suites. I didn't have to show a pass, no credentials.
That's not true.
I knew everybody by first name basis. How you doing?
The weird part about Tug is that when you get him into the ballpark in those social settings, so he drops the accent entirely, and suddenly he's like, hey, this is Jerry's my friend. You need to let him in right now.
That's true.
Suddenly all the doors open up.
There's things being made up on the show right now.
Tug is like, when we're in the office, he's like, oh, shucks, America, apple pie. Then he gets in there and he's like, you will let him in. Do you know who I am?
There's being lies being told about me.
Phone calls. I can have your job.
I can have your job.
Lies being told about me today.
I know the higher-ups here at the Braves. I will have your job by afternoon.
Outside of 9:03, the last 6 minutes to 9:09, you can listen to everything on the show and take it to the bank. The last 6 minutes have been full of fabrication, lies, and degrading remarks. All those things.
I did think about you randomly yesterday, but then again, I think about both of you guys randomly, so it's not like any big surprise. But so we always bring up our Tampa realtor.
Yes,
she posted a new video, and it goes right after country music fans.
What? Oh, you got to send it to me.
It was brutal. I was going to send it to you, but it's on Instagram. I don't know how to do that. So
yeah, I'm not sure.
But yeah, so I have to pull up.
I'll just pull up her page. That'll be easy enough.
Yeah, pull up her page and take a listen to it. Or Jerry, if you want to have it at the end of the show, I think Tug's going to have to defend his honor on this because she, like I said, she's gone after golfers. She's gone after neckbeards. She's gone after people that are wealthy, and now she went after country music fans.
I love it, dude. If you can't take it, get out of the kid. I think it's when I love it. That's when it's the most fun because usually there's a shred of truth in everything that she's saying, or maybe even a lot of truth.
There's a point where when you go after certain things that I'm involved in, I just kind of do the knowing nod. Like people that are like, conspiracy theorists are like this, and I just kind of nod and go, yeah, we are. No, you're right.
That's right. Yep. So I can't wait to see that. She would speak to American men, I believe. Like dudes would watch her. And they're going to love her. Now, Elise Hogue is very, very different. She's a fellow at New America, where she oversees the Gender, Extremism, and Engagement Project, otherwise known as SAM. Remember the New York Times was reporting on it? We brought it to you on the Morning Extra, speaking with American men. So the Democrats thought, I've got this great plan. We're going to spend $20 million and speak to American men, and we've got the perfect people to do it. We've got Olivia Giuliana, who will definitely speak to American men, and Elise Hogue, a woman that used to work at Media Matters and run Media Matters. Now she's at New American. Like I said, extremism, gender, and engagement. These are the people that will speak directly to Los and Tug and Jeray. They'll know exactly what to say. They spent a bunch of money, and this focus group this is what they came up with, Los. This is a quote. The focus group found that men feel they're in crisis, stressed, ashamed, and confused over what it means to be a man in 2025. Bull crap. That is the furthest thing from the truth that I've ever heard in my whole life. And you know why you got an answer like that? Because they're using people that have no idea what men will talk about or are interested in.
You think that they actually, as they're kind of putting all this thing together, like we're gonna be able to find a way to talk to men. Men are having a hard time figuring out. I'd say this: you're talking to the wrong men.
That's exactly right.
You're talking like you actually got a cross section where you're like, okay, so he is a little bit ladylike and he's really into cats, and that guy's never seen a beer in his life. I'm like, you're not talking to men then.
You're not talking to men at all.
You're not talking to men.
They said men vented to them. about conflicting cultural messages of masculinity.
First of all, I mean, we get ads on network television that tell you about how like it's okay not to be okay. Yeah. Men, you've got to deal with your mental health.
Right.
BS.
Yeah, dude.
That's for me to hold on to, damn it.
They vented about conflicting cultural messages of masculinity, and that it puts them in a no-win situation around the meaning of being a man. That's according to the SAM Project memo that was shared by Politico.
If there's one confusing aspect I have when it comes to hey, manliness and masculinity, am I supposed to have a dad bod or abs? Because I hear about both. I'm really confused here. Because listen, I try to put the workouts in, kind of feel like, all right, hey, we got a little thing working down here. But does that mean that I'm somehow less manly because I don't have the whole here's the beer belly that hangs off? I mean, trying to figure out some stuff around here.
Stressed, ashamed, and confused over what it means to be a man in 2025. Dudes know exactly what it means to be a man. We don't need anybody's affirmation. I don't feel ashamed. I don't feel stressed. I don't feel confused about it whatsoever. This is the ignorant foolishness of the Democrat Party. This is it on display for the entire world to see. The New York Times is reporting on it, and Politico reporting on it as well. That's where I pulled this from. This is political suicide, dude. This is what the DNC is paying for. A project run by a woman who's a far leftist that worked for Media Matters and focuses on gender and extremism. She has no idea what I want to see. I want to see the Braves win. That's what I want to see.
I love it. If I was sitting in a circle, like when you have like those meetings, like, whether it's AA or, drug meetings or whatever else, those meetings, and I was sitting in there with a bunch of liberal women, I would basically look at them and I would tell them all the same thing. I'd have to admit to my fault. I'd be like, I don't really carry a gun on a regular basis, and I'm not big into fighting people. Like, my only real danger that I had is that I could get all of you pregnant, and that's now gone.
And I'm a weapon.
Now, and I can't do that anymore because I got that taken away. And so now I do have this confliction of, if I can't shoot you and I can't fight you, all I can do is sleep with you and not get you pregnant. And all of them will go, well, that sounds terrible.
That's right. No, thank you. I don't even
I'm like, what a Trojan horse, man. I'd be like, man, I'm up to my eyeballs in liberal women.
That's right.
You would sneak in there with your umbrella drink, with your umbrella drink.
Your girly drink.
That's right.
Your Tim Walsh drink, man. They would welcome you in with open arms. And then when you open your mouth.
He's a sign of modern masculinity.
They would open, and as soon as you open your mouth, dude, they'd be ready to kick you to the curb. They'd be doing curb stomps on you all day in their high heels.
Ladies, I mean, I can't get any of you pregnant.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Now we can try.
No, we can try.
Sure about that? That's right. He's a married man.
Listen, I tell my wife on a regular basis, I go, listen, it's just practice.
That's right. That's right. Practice makes perfect.
It's just practice. That's
right.
all.
That's right. We should stay in practice just in case.
Just in case.
We decide to
never
have this thing reversed.
That's right.
That's what we need done.
Oh, these men are such pigs.
That's exactly right.
They're talking about this. They're
Dude,
pigs.
Women talk worse than this. There's no doubt about it. I've been told by so many women that the conversations that they have when it's just the girls would put men to shame every time. That I believe. Have y'all ever been around women that have told you that?
Oh, because I know some that are not shy about this topic.
I've been told that y'all got nothing, and I believe them. I swear I believe them. There's no surprise to me whatsoever, because women are vicious. They're vicious with each other. They're vicious when you get in their circle, or afraid that you're going to to disrupt their circle.
The best is when you get a few girls that might have dated the same guy.
Oh, dude.
And you just get to be in earshot of that conversation. Dude. Maybe he didn't leave on the best circumstances with them. Boy, you'll learn a lot about that guy.
Yes, Tug, can you do me a quick favor? Because you have the article in front of you. You have that information. And can you read me back the quote? For the courtroom here.
Yeah.
Could you read me back the quote about the whole, who's in conflict or what?
Yeah. The focus group found that young men feel they're in a crisis. Oh, yeah. The focus group found that young women are in crisis, stressed, ashamed, and confused over what it means to be a woman in 2025.
Isn't that amazing? When you actually sub the word, you're like, now that makes sense.
Now it makes perfect sense. Dude, you're a genius.
It's projection, man. It's just projection. Everything we read about these people and everything they come, if you just change it into women, then it all makes sense.
You listening right now, you just got this information free. No charge.
No charge. Come sit on my couch. We'll figure this thing out together.
But that's the thing. We could figure it out in a minute. But no, they put a militant leftist in charge of it, asking men questions as if I have anything to say to that woman. I'm sure she's plenty nice. I bet she's got, nice friends. But when it comes to politics, she doesn't know her backside from her elbow. She doesn't know her backside from a hole in the ground.
I'm actually laughing about this because I hadn't actually read through this article because, again, I keep myself ignorant of this stuff so that I'm entertained when you get into this. Like, yes, I didn't know that they would decide on this article in Politico, let's make sure we have a headline picture of Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, because they're looking for their quote-unquote Joe Rogan. The crazy part, as we brought up 1,000 times, they had him, and then they got rid of him because he wasn't the male that they wanted. He was masculine.
He was taking horse pace. He's too masculine.
He's right. He likes fighting, and he cusses. And now Democrats are saying that's how they communicate, because if you read about the Sam Project, they believe that the more you cuss, the more you'll relate to men. Ain't got nothing to do with cussing. If you do, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. It's nothing to do with they glom on to the most insignificant thing men do because it's different than what she does. And they're saying, well, that must be it. That must be the difference. That's what we need to focus in on.
You just want a beer and watch the Braves win.
That's it, man. That's it.
We're not complicated creatures. In fact, I'm hardwired to try and take my ween and put it in all these places. All right? I'm not a complicated being. At the same time, though, you need to stop acting like you're complicated, ladies. You're hardwired to find the biggest, strongest buck out there and perpetuate the species with him.
Yeah. That's it, dude.
You ain't looking for coffee boy or pajama boy.
Nope.
You're looking for typically a dude who's a dude.
But they've been convinced they are.
They're a man with some dirty hands.
That's right.
But if you read about that, if you were to write that down and put it on social media, put it in a Politico article, it would be scoffed at. It would be made fun of, even though it's true.
Yeah.
Even though it's true.
But they would read it and they would know.
Yeah, deep down, but they could never admit it out loud because that would go against their politics.
I mean, you can have, and this is, the women have to come around to this eventually. Maybe they will, or maybe they'll be so blinded by their own silliness and their own religion of the left. Felix reads poetry. Dave can fix your brakes.
Yeah, dude, nailed it. That's exactly right.
You know which one you're going to want to have sex with? Dave.
That's exactly right. And the other thing, I think that the final thought on this whole thing is dudes want to be left alone.
Yes,
that's the most important thing that the left and the feminists and the communists will never understand. We just want to be left alone.
Say it again for those in the back.
We want to be left alone. I just saved you $20 million.
I just want to be left alone.
I just want to be left alone, man. When I get home, I would like to sit down, relax a little bit, maybe have a cold drink. It's Thursday night. We're close enough to the weekend. I want to watch the Braves. I want to watch them win as Barrett Sallee walks in from the Braves radio network, alerting me to the fact that the game is coming on in about 3 hours. I want to know that they win. I want to be able to kiss my wife on the cheek and tell her I love her and watch the Braves and be left alone. That's what I want.
Ask Barrett about that. If all we wanted to be is left alone, because that's if I could have what do I want? I am big on I have 3 women in the house and a female dog. I just don't want drama. I want to largely be left alone on this stuff. I just want to enjoy my evening.
Just let me have 5 minutes. That's all.
Y'all fight all you want. Just don't do it near me.
That's right. Stay out of the Wayne's World man cave. Wayne's World for now. About to be much better down there in the man cave. But for now, leave the Wayne's World man cave alone. Let it be. Let me be. Morning Xtra at Extra 106.3. 9 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. That roof leak ain't going to fix itself. You can get it fixed today before the rain comes in where you are by calling 877-9-SOUTHERN, southernexteriors.co. When we continue, This is the way Aunt Peg thinks. We've told you how men think. Let me tell you how liberal women like my Aunt Peg think. We're going to give two scenarios. One will be from the perspective of a Democrat, one from the Republican. They'll be the exact same scenario, but you'll get different answers. Next on Extra.
The Morning Extra, Neil Bortz, and The Kimmer Show are all online for you anytime at thepodcastpark.com. Plus all of Extra's exclusive podcasts like Ben Burnett, Janelle King, and so much more. All at thepodcastpark.com. Presented by Associated Credit Union.
Good morning, it's Los. Let's talk about True Prep. True Prep right off of Cobb Parkway in Marietta, your superstore for preparedness. Now, it just kind of really comes down to what you're looking to do. Me, I went through Hurricane Michael back in 2018, and I saw what happens when you don't have power, you don't have food, you don't have a way to correspond with people. It's crazy how quickly things can fall apart. So that was when I decided I'm going to make sure that I have freeze-dried food, just in case, because you never know. And after I remember telling you about that, then we've had some crazy stuff like weather. Hell, even 3 weeks ago, we had an earthquake, okay? Like, weird stuff happens, and it's always good to just be prepared for it. Also, when it comes to personal security, True Prep has you covered. You can always see the latest in personal security weapons and ammunition, or you can even go to their used guns and gear page. This is where you're going to be able to see some of the stuff that they have. Also, they have a hot deals page on their website that updates every single day. You'll be able to see what is in the store, what it's going for, how long you can grab it for. Those are all important. All right, what do? You can go by the Superstore right over there off Cobb Parkway in Marietta. It is let's put it this way. For me, it's like a toy store, okay? Like, I love it. I'm like, oh, this is a really cool place. Or you can go online, of course, trueprep.com. That's TRUprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow with True Prep.
Back by popular demand, D. Geller & Son Jewelers Watches and Whiskey event is next weekend, June 13th through 15th, only at D. Geller & Son Jewelers, where we're celebrating summer and Father's Day by bringing in an incredible variety of new and pre-owned luxury Swiss timepieces. Fan favorites like Tissot and Omega, showstoppers like Rolex and Breitling, and while you're browsing, enjoy complimentary whiskey tastings thanks to Old Fourth Distillery. It's next weekend, June 13th through 15th. Learn more at dgeller.com.
Hey, it's a Kimmer talking about Stovall.
Yeah, I just wanted to brag on Stovall. I went up there and actually got a quote on some of their material up there, and he gave me the quotes I wanted, but he said what would work best, they don't carry, and referred me to one of their competitors. That's how good they are. And sure enough, he was right. The material he was talking about that they don't carry, it's actually going to work best for me. So I've got that on the way, and it all worked out well. Makes me want to go back and buy something from them now.
Folks, when it comes to landscaping supplies, start at Stovall. 11 locations around Atlanta. Online at StovallInc.com.
Gentlemen, listen up. When it's not hard, it's really hard. Did you know that 50% of men over 50 have some form of ED? It's true, and I'm one of them. ED followed me everywhere. Heck, even my initials are ED. I'm Dr. Eric Deal from Total Body Therapy of Georgia, and I know ED. It can lead to feelings of embarrassment, stress, and sadness. But there's good news. I can fix it. I fixed mine, and I can fix yours too. At Total Body Therapy of Georgia, we are experts in the P-shot, testosterone replacement, regenerative therapy, Trimix to create an erection, and more. Guys, ED won't get better on its own, but I can help you today. Call us at 404-777-1911. That's 404-777-1911, or learn about us more online at tbtofga.com. So take it from me, ED, Dr. Eric Deal at Total Body Therapy of Georgia. Call 404-777-1911 or online at tbtofga.com.
Well, it's finally summer, and while you're enjoying the sun, your rain gutters might be quietly filling up with debris. Summer often brings heavy rainfall in many parts of the country, and if your gutters are clogged, water can overflow and lead to costly damage. In wildfire-prone areas, gutters can also trap dry, flammable debris, creating a fire hazard. We all know it's important to maintain our gutters, but I'm not going to get up on a ladder to do it myself. I'm a big fan of hiring a real professional to protect my home, and I trust Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter and gutter protection company. Right now, you can save 30% off your entire order. Just go to leaffilter.com/Glenn Beck. Leaf Filter's trusted pros will clean out, realign, and seal your gutters before installing Leaf Filter's award-winning and patented technology, trusted by over 1 million homeowners. Schedule your free inspection and get up to 30% off your entire purchase at leaffilter.com/Glenn Beck. That's leaffilter.com/Glenn Beck. See a representative for warranty details.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Thursday, June 5th. The Cobb Planning Commission approved a proposal for a $100 million apartment development on Cobb Parkway just south of Cumberland Mall. The Homewood Suites Hotel by Hilton will be torn down to make way for the development. Homeland Security raided a Marietta nail salon earlier this week. Immigration agents arrested 12 illegal aliens working at Lux Nail Salon on Chastain Meadows Parkway. The agency says the business owners will face consequences, but no official charges yet. And the Georgia Forestry Commission is warning Georgia landowners about a surge in southern pine beetles. They say early monitoring has indicated an especially high level of beetle activity this year. An infestation of the bugs can cause serious damage and destroy trees quickly. Today's weather partly cloudy with a possibility of isolated storms. Temperatures will reach the mid-80s. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne for Extra 106.3.
9 o'clock hour is brought to you by Southern Exteriors. As the rain comes in, look at the roof if there's that spot that's been it's been getting bigger and bigger and bigger because we've had a lot of rain lately. Call Southern Exteriors today. They can get to you today. 8779 southernexteriors.co. 10% off any job or CO or 12 months 0% financing. I'm going to give you two scenarios. Let them play out. I'll play you a couple scenarios. And it's the same scenario, but these Aunt Peg types. And if you don't know my Aunt Peg, sweetheart, love the woman, greatest woman, gives shirt off her back. But politically is off the rails on the crazy train. Like, I don't know how you're such a sweet woman that will bake you an apple pie or make you dinner or whatever you need. She will get it for you. She would do anything for you. She's that type of woman. But when it comes to politics, she turns into the great Satan. I mean, it is, I'm not kidding, dude. I mean, we can't even be in the same room. I have to excuse myself from the dinner table because she'll get on a roll. And I never bring it up. It's always her.
Tug, did you see what Donald Trump did today?
You sound just like her. That's exactly what she does. It's exactly what she does. And I'll say, you know what? I didn't. I'll be back. I go to the bathroom. You know,
Tug, or did you know he wants to lock up all the black people?
That's what, dude. She would say that. She would absolutely say it and say it with conviction because she believes it.
Tug, he's going to take all the media people, starting with Rachel Maddow, and send them to a prison in South America.
That's right. Just like they did that poor Maryland man. You know, that's the type conversations. So we'll be out.
Do you support this, Tug?
Dude, I'm telling you, I feel like you've been listening to her. I feel like you've been there.
I just know the types.
Yeah, dude, you've nailed it. You absolutely nailed it right on the head. Couldn't be more correct. But aside from that, it's the greatest. She's wonderful. Aside from that, so I want to play you a couple Aunt Pegs. And listen to the scenario as it plays out. One of them, they're talking about Tim Walz. One of them, they're talking about Donald Trump. It's the same exact scenario in the same exact video clip, and you get two different answers.
Trump recently cut taxpayer-funded health care for illegal immigrants. What's your take on that?
It's just irresponsible.
I think that's wrong. What if I told you that that's actually Governor Walz who recently did that?
I saw that Governor Walz had to do some compromising. No, I did hear that. That's a matter of the budget. I heard that he has to do that.
So it's irresponsible. Donald Trump's so irresponsible. That's actually Tim Walz. Well, you know, the budget is it's wits end. What are they supposed to do? He's got to do that.
He was forced to do it. I mean, he's doing it for the goodness of the people.
But didn't that the craziest thing ever? Can you imagine if we came on this show every day and when presented with a scenario, we would say, if it's Donald Trump, it's fine. If it's the Democrats, it's not. We wouldn't be on the air for a week with that kind of hypocrisy, with that kind of just idiocy.
Well, and to me, I always go back to saying I'm calling balls and strikes. Like, I will point out when I believe an executive order is going to get shot down by the courts. Like, that's one of the things I'll say. I don't know that this survives. Here's the problem with it. Here's the way that it's been structured. I don't think this is going to survive very far. And sure enough, that is kind of how it's played. I try and draw that thing right down
with
the middle.
With the Alien Enemies Act specifically.
That was the last one where I said, because of how the law is written, I don't believe this is going to work. Now, when it comes to birthright citizenship, I've made the argument for, here's why I believe this is constitutional, that what Donald Trump is doing is constitutional. Now, At no point did I ever flip and go, well, everything he's doing is constitutional.
Right.
Because I'm sitting back saying, I don't think this is going to pass legal muster. I'm trying to call it the way it's supposed to be called here.
But I think we both like Donald Trump. We both believe that Donald Trump wants to do what's best for the United States of America.
I'm enjoying the hell out of this. This is awesome every day.
It's terrific, but it doesn't change the fact that you have to say, like you did, hey, I don't know if it's going to work, and here's why. It's not just blindly like the audio we just played. Well, Trump bad, Tim Walz good.
And it's so strange how their voices soften.
That's right. I didn't even notice that, but yes.
If we can re-rack that, listen to one of the weird parts. You will hear them when it's Donald Trump. There's real vitriol there. And then as soon as you tell them that's actually Tim Walz, the voice lightens up and suddenly, that was done out of compassion.
Trump recently cut taxpayer-funded health care for illegal immigrants. What's your take on that?
It's just irresponsible. I think that's wrong.
What if I told you that that's actually Governor Walz who recently did that?
I saw that Governor Walz had to do some compromising. So I did hear that. That's a matter of the budget.
See how it flips?
Yeah, absolutely. But it flipped just the way it did because it was Trump versus Walz. I mean, the I hate Trump, I love the guy that waves with two hands. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yeah. He did that. Of course he did. That's disgusting. Oh, wait. Tim Walz did? Well, I'm sure he had to do it for the goodness of the people.
Well, yeah, he did. I mean, Tim Walz is a caring man. Tim Walz, he comes out and he doesn't do things like Donald Trump. He's not a racist. He's not a dictator. He's a fine man. He's the man that I want to spend time with. I would never spend time with that Donald Trump. He is toxic. He is toxic masculinity personified. That's what they were thinking. That's exactly right.
I think it's a wonderful case study. It's just listen to how, I don't know if you've ever seen when they do the studies of like people when they are with their body language, how they will lean forward into certain conversations. Right. Other times they'll lean backwards, and that it's basically showing you the level of confidence and energy and sometimes arrogance over what they're saying. That sounded like two women leaning in to tell you how bad Donald Trump is, and then leaning back to go, I'm sure Tim Walz did a good job.
Yeah, that's right. Everything Tim does is great because he does it for the right reasons. He's not a dictator. He's a good man.
I mean, if you were to say that Tim Walz just gave you a new tax cut and also increased the child health care credit or child tax credit, and they would all be like, well, that's a great idea. That's because he cares so much. And then you said, actually, that's Donald Trump with the big, beautiful bill. They would immediately have to flip.
Yeah, they would hate it. They would absolutely flip, no doubt about it. And speaking of the big, beautiful bill, and maybe even bringing in the Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell, how basically they're not going to change the interest rates. And Clay Travis pointed this out, and I'll give him credit for it. The European Central Bank cut interest rates to 2% this morning, as of today. Not happening in the United States, where it's still at 4.5%. The Fed is being political. This non-political organization is being political, and it's straightforward and it's obvious.
I was warned about this 20 years ago, and I still remember it when a friend of mine who was the best man at my wedding, he went off on this diatribe about the Fed and all the power that the Fed had, and how Ben Bernanke was now a guy that could do whatever he wanted in the country and was basically set up as the fourth branch of government. Excuse me, I had a quick sneeze there. Thank you. I was basically set up as the fourth branch of government. And so knowing that it has that kind of power, largely, the Fed's mandate is to keep inflation under control. And so, yes, you will see interest rates rise and fall accordingly. Well, what happens when you are viewing yourself as, I am one of the last lines of defenses for Donald Trump, and the Trump economy is going to ensure Republican leadership for maybe the next 8 to 10 years? What do? I artificially make sure not to lower interest rates.
Yeah,
do not give this guy help. That's
right.
exactly what I believe is happening.
Yeah, they are political.
Because right now inflation's under 2%. That's the number that we're trying to get to all the time.
And I don't believe when people tell me that they're not a political organization, I don't know that anybody isn't political just by nature. Like you gravitate to whatever you believe in. You gravitate to the things that you think are true and the things that you think will benefit you and your family. And if you're in a position like Donald Trump, that'll benefit the country. Or if you hate Donald Trump and you're threatened by Donald Trump and you're Jerome Powell, you're like, well, how do I can't sit here and appear a particular way. I can't speak out a particular way. But what I can do is quietly just, no, I'm not going to make any adjustments. We're going to continue down this path. That's his way of almost being passive aggressive.
Okay, so this is just an extension of what we were discussing. So when you do look what's going on in Europe, just as you pointed out, got dropped again. It's been dropped 9 times, and we haven't dropped it once.
Dude. What does that tell you? That tells you exactly what Los has laid out. It's being done on purpose. How do we do something that is going to be damaging to Donald Trump, especially when he's taking risks with tariffs? He's taking risks by implementing his policies, the ones that he was elected on. Is it what he was elected to do? Yes, but is it a risk politically to do it? You dadgum right it is. So what do? How do we damage him as much as we can? And this is just part of the big playbook, the Democrat playbook, the media playbook, and now you can group the Fed into the playbook.
You can group it right in. This is just part of trying to derail what Donald Trump is trying to do. And do you have something you can do about it? Well, I mean, you can try and replace Jerome Powell. But now we're teetering into that weird area because you've tried to create this independent organization that can do whatever they want in the interest of keeping inflation under control. If you try and go after Jerome Powell, you now create this he's a dictator discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. As if it's gone away. It will just throw gasoline on the fire and it'll enrage again because I should probably back up a little bit. It has died off a little bit because some relatively moderate Democrats, those that are kind of center-left, are saying, hey, you realize none of this has worked, right? That's why he won in a landslide. So they have dialed it back a little bit. But if he were to do that with Jerome Powell, it would turn it back up to 11.
Yeah. It would happen without that's all we would hear on any of the networks is how Donald Trump, look what he's doing. He's a dictator. Whereas I think you would have a large amount of Americans, again, I believe this to be another one of those 80-20 issues, that if they understand how important that rate drop would be to what they're looking to accomplish, they would be all on board with it.
Yes, sir, they would. Thankfully, you don't watch mainstream media. Thankfully, you get a discussion that you can be a part of and have a point of view that we'll share with everybody on our platform at 404-741-1230. This is the Morning Extra, Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3, 9 o'clock hour, brought to you by Southern Exteriors, 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co. I'm going to give you some liberal logic as we close out the show today. This is kind of a skit, but it is a very eye-opening skit about a 14-year-old that wants to make some decisions on her own. And the adult in the room says no, up until the very last one that's showing up in our American culture today. Next on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Thursday, June 5th. The Atlanta Braves look to avoid a sweep today at the hands of the Arizona Diamondbacks at Truist Park after a 2-1 loss last night. This afternoon, you'll have Grant Holmes on the mound for the Braves. Brandon Font makes a start for the Snakes. First pitch is set for 12:15. The Edmonton Oilers struck first in the Stanley Cup Finals as they beat the visiting Florida Panthers last night 4-3 in overtime. Game 2 is set for tomorrow night. And the NBA Finals begin tonight, starting in Oklahoma City. As the Thunder host the Indiana Pacers, OKC is nearly a 10-point favorite for this matchup tonight. That tip-off is set for 8:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Hey, this is John Flading. I'm the president and owner of ATL Turf Co. We are a family-owned, operated, independent local company. We have over 15 years of artificial grass design, installation, and sales experience. From premium artificial lawns and backyards, custom putting greens, sports fields, hardscape, drainage. We do both residential and commercial. If you can dream it, we can build it. Just go to atlturfco.com to schedule an appointment.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. That is, until they meet the Warrior Alliance. The Warrior Alliance goes the extra mile to reach veterans in their communities so they do not have to take this journey alone. With over 40 partners across 10 service areas, your donation goes a long way toward achieving maximum impact for a veteran and their family. Go to thewarrioralliance.org to donate today and commit to helping the Warrior Alliance change thousands of lives for the better.
A company that has been trusted in Atlanta for over 25 years has already done their hometown homework, like having the very best people, fair, honest pricing, exceptional customer service, and a focus on high-quality work. That's us. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. Sometimes new isn't better, like out-of-town home improvement companies invading Atlanta with their inflated pricing and subpar work. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 Seasons Garages.com.
Saving you money, I'm Hillary Barsky. If you're taking money out from an ATM and it's not a machine run by your bank, you'll probably be paying more than ever before. Bankrate found that out-of-network ATM fees are at the highest levels since it began tracking them back in 1998. The average this year is $4.77. According to Greg McBride, Bankrate's chief financial analyst, when making withdrawals, go to in-network ATMs or get cash back when using a debit card. Also check out if your bank participates in a nationwide ATM network that can be used free of charge. Overdraft fees are also higher this year and topping $27. McBride said it's important to check your balance before making a notable purchase or withdrawal to avoid overdraft or insufficient funds fees. And don't opt into overdraft protection on small dollar ATM and debit card transactions, and link your checking account and savings account so any shortfall is covered by your own funds and not the bank's. Saving you money, Hillary Barsky, Fox News.
Securing America.
A House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee hearing Wednesday focused on the challenges faced by NATO. Former U.S. Rep to NATO, Julianne Smith.
NATO's enduring strength lies not only in its military might, but in the shared values of its members and their collective commitment to defend one another.
But witnesses also pointed out looming dangers, in particular the aggressive actions of Russia's Vladimir Putin. Dr. Niall Gardner is the director of the Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom.
Without NATO, the brutal reality is that Russian forces would very likely today be rolling into the Baltic states and deep into Europe.
Retired Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery expanded that thought, warning, neither Russia nor China will be cajoled or coddled into compliance or even peaceful coexistence. All witnesses called for NATO's European members to contribute more to the alliance financially. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's a camera. How's it going? Here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
The best way in America to help the poor is to not be one of them. Stay in school. Get a job. Stick with it. Don't get pregnant with a baby you can't afford to raise. The roadmap is there. Learn to read maps.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
It seems so clear. It seems so obvious. If you have children and they came to you and said, hey, I want to go get a tattoo at, let's say 14, you'd probably go, not a good idea. Let's hold off on that. Or, hey, I want to go drink on the weekend with my friends. You know, we've gotten a fake ID. We're going to get a bunch of beer. You'd probably be like, probably not a good idea. Let's corral this.
Just leave me alone, Dad.
I learned it from watching you. That's the reason I want to do it. I learned it from watching you. But no, seriously, this is a little skit almost, and you can see where it goes very quickly. The girl says, well, this is what I want to do. And the dad says no up until the very end. Listen. Oh, we got a Vox Pro issue.
Top mid on it. Yep.
Oh, no.
Hang on.
I heard it die. It went down.
At least it waited until the last 15 minutes of the show.
Sometimes in the 9 o'clock hour, things just get a little bit out of control.
Right. Everything was rolling so perfectly. The perfect game was on. And
set it up so good.
The box died.
Well, sometimes it happens. But the whole point is that they won't let her get a tattoo. They won't let her get beer to drink. They won't let her drive without a license, but they'll let her get a sex change operation.
Yeah, here you go. I've got it. This one didn't need a beep, did it?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Let's hope.
Let's see, and
here we go. Yeah.
Sign off on.
It's my body, my choice.
You're 14. Take it from me. You're going to regret it one day.
All right. Then can I just buy some of those cigarettes?
No way. Smoking is so bad for you.
How about a beer?
No.
A vape pen?
No.
A lighter?
Not in this state.
Can I rent a car?
Sorry.
Bottle of cough syrup?
What are you, drunk?
Fireworks?
You might blow yourself up.
That Ruger GP100 and a box of 38 specials?
You might shoot your eye out.
Can I just, I don't know, like get an irreversible gender surgery?
No problem. We'll get started right away.
Cool. I don't need my parents' permission.
Of course not. What if they're non-affirming?
Get a tattoo.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
What if they're non-affirming?
Exactly right. So you can't do any of those other things, but yes, you can have irreversible surgery. It's like you have to laugh at it because it's so absurd.
So I have a friend of mine, and we are opposite ends of the political spectrum.
Okay.
I wouldn't call her like some wacky liberal, but it's just what it is. And she's telling me about her daughter and how her daughter is showing some of this stuff. And I made it, she kind of was we'd had a few drinks. She's kind of throwing it at me, and I think she's expecting all right, here's where he's going to go off into these talking points or whatever else. And I go, well, I said, first off, most of these kids where this happens, a majority of them end up growing out of it as they get through puberty. And I was like, it becomes just a phase. And I go, and for those that don't, you then support them as best you can moving forward. And she stopped and looked at me and was like, that is the best thing I've heard from anyone on this.
Yeah.
And of course, she's thinking that what I'm going to be like fire and brimstone. You don't do this or whatever. And I'm like, this is a discussion that we have regularly out of the fact that you're trying to do the best for somebody that you care about. And again, sometimes that means not affirming any of this stuff.
That's exactly right, dude. And it's so obvious. And look, maybe it's the little bit of drink that made them not as emotional, for in that moment you're a little more relaxed, you're actually listening versus waiting to respond.
He's not the great Satan.
Yes, exactly.
I think it was quite surprising. It would just dead looked at me. I have been just flat out. I have not had anybody say something that was like that about this.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And I guess that's the wild part, because what happens is within that echo chamber, you're told, hey, you're a bad parent if you don't play into this stuff. You should be doing this. You should be doing this. Why don't you go get her breast cut off? Or why don't you get the penis cut off? Like that's what the echo chamber says. Whereas a parent that's actually going through this, if they're not crazy, they're going to be looking for different answers. And oftentimes it's kids grow out of this.
That's right. And you see it especially with kids that have transitioned. And they talk about it, how they were pushed into it. They were encouraged. Instead of actually encouraging them, hey, why don't you just wait? Wait till you're an adult. Wait till... And look, kids don't want to hear that, but you have to do it with kids all the time. It's not like this is a new process of saying, hey, now's not the right time. This isn't a good idea.
Everything in that mocking piece of audio is everything that person was asking for would have the answer of wait. Can I buy cigarettes? Wait. Yeah. Can I get a beer? Wait. Like right. Everything was wait except for the last one, which was let's go hack them breasts off.
Yeah, and it's so obvious, but I can speak to this as I am someone who got a tattoo before he was 18 years old.
Yeah.
Started smoking when I was 12. Probably.
Dang, son.
Yeah, it was
nice work.
They used to sell Lucy's at the Chevron over there on Austin Road.
Country.
Let's go.
Now that wasn't country. That was just the suburbs and the guy at the gas station.
Rebellious. That was rebellious. This is what it was.
You get a Marlboro menthol for 25 cents.
Oh.
Yeah, started on those. I mean, and started drinking when I was 15. I mean, I was out there chasing it. And now I look back and I'm like, boy, I might have permanently lost some brain cells that we're not able to get back at this point.
No, but I think it's so important for people to hear, especially for kids.
Only the weak ones, Jerry. It's fine.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. The strong ones are still around, we can tell.
That's right.
But if you want to be cool, do all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. You have to be. Look, James Dean, he smoked cigarettes. He was cool. Maybe.
How else am I going to be 15 and get laid? Got to smokes with cigarettes.
Yeah, and there was the answer, too. And I probably should have waited on that.
But you know what, though? You're seeing a flip in this. We've seen Gen Z going to church tripled, drinking much less. I mean, it has fallen off a cliff. with smoking and everything else that goes along with Gen Z is just doing things very differently. And I want to think, and I could be wrong about this, but this is what I believe. They were force-fed all that stuff. They told you that was the way to be cool. And when everybody's saying you must do this, most kids are going to go the other way anyway.
It's just a natural rebellion.
It is.
And so the rebellion now looks like, well, I'm going to be straight edge. I'm going to be really healthy.
Yeah, because the people, the mainstream media, the culture tells you otherwise, Los.
It is totally different. It is a push towards a stronger sense, and I guess I would put it as a sense of morality that I'm going to rebel. I'm going to be different because I'm not going to buy in to this insanity. Instead, I'm going to have a moral compass that's a lot stronger than yours. It's surprising as hell. Like I tell you, I never pushed religion on my oldest daughter. She came into it on her own. Faith is not something that I was like, you got to do this. You got to make sure you get in your Bible. You got to pay. I was like, I'm going to be that parent that's like, I'm supportive of whatever road you want to go down. And this is the road she went down.
Yeah,
this was, and that's how you know it's pure and it's true.
Yeah,
it's
no,
not
that's
my
right.
doing.
It's genuine.
On the other end of that, my mom was a Sunday school teacher.
Yeah, that's
Dad
right.
was a deacon.
Yep.
And I'm not telling you, my parents are great.
No,
Love
I know.
them. Still got a great relationship with them. But I was in church 4 days a week, going to visit widows and doing all of it, painting church walls every single week. And as soon as I got my driver's license, boy, I went screaming the other way with my hair on fire.
Time to smoke with cigarettes.
Get me a Lucky Strike.
Love it.
Can I get a Camel no filter?
And plenty of other things, too.
Yeah, no, but yeah, right, I'm sure. But what your parents did, I think, is so valuable because look at where you ended up. It's not where you start.
Well,
it's
the
where you end.
foundation was
That's
always
exactly
there.
right.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly right.
That's true.
And I think that's because they'll say, preachers' kids are the worst. I've heard that my entire life, and I've seen it in action sometimes. And I think that those foundational things, of course, kids are going to rebel against.
The only thing they didn't do that I probably could have used a little bit more of, they should have beat me. Because I got caught a lot. I was not good. I got caught a lot. They should have put a whooping on me.
Maybe it would have
My dad did a few times, but not enough.
They should have beaten me.
Yeah, right.
I love that.
Had everything been right in the world, I would have wore a beating at least once a week. No, that's good, man.
My mom listens, so I want to make sure she understands. I love you, Mom.
No,
Mama,
you should have popped me on the head a few more times.
Mom, I wish you had beaten me with the power of Jesus.
That's right.
Hit me with Jesus.
I needed to be struck down with the rod and the staff. Yeah, no, that's exactly right, man. I think it's great. Los, I know you're about to get out of town, man. Best of luck to your sweet daughter. I know it's going to be great. I know she's going to do great. She's such a hardworking kid. It's so cool to see her excel at such a young age, man. So y'all be careful and have a great trip.
I've never been to Franklin, Tennessee, but I hear as far as
you're going
the
to Franklin?
scene, yeah, we're heading to Franklin.
Enjoy that.
Dude, that's where
4 hours up the road. That's where we're heading.
Dude, that's where all the country stars live.
Yeah.
There's so many artists that live in Franklin, Tennessee,
Man,
outside of Nashville.
if I can get some live music tonight, that would be really cool. Because here's how it is: we have to take them over to the camp, and then we're not allowed in. So me and a couple of the other dads were like, well, what do we go do? We got to go find something to do. I'm going to be like, let's go find some live music.
Oh, man.
Dude, if you can't find live music at the Whiskey Room or Kimbrough's Pick and Parlor, the Mockingbird Theater, there should be some live music in Franklin for sure. So
and they will serve you a girly drink.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Yeah, they won't judge you for it. They'll bring it to you and charge you double. You know? It's because anything in Nashville is double cost every time, man.
Speaking of girly things, Angela Morbido.
That's right, and with us tomorrow.
Sweet.
So glad to have Angela. It'll be so fun to break things down with her. Safe travels, Los.
See you guys.
For Los and
Adios.
Jeray, my name is Tug. Y'all come back now here.
Live and local news talk continues at 3 p.m. with Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder. It's the Kimmer Show, only on Extra 106.3 and the